The local partners here on the ground are taking all of this into consideration as we are moving forward on this campaign. Thank you, baby. I don't know if y'all all met my son, Michael. He's been videotaping everything. Yeah, this is my oldest child. Thank you. So I want to lay him on the altar right now, anyway. So again, thank you. And just to address and on some of the things that we heard last night about the canvassing event, you know, going into some of these. Oh, okay. They gotta see you.
Run to the camera, y'all. Run to the camera.
Oh, I've never been afraid of the camera. Good morning, our virtual people. How are you guys doing this morning? So, we're addressing. We went out yesterday, and again, we just thank you guys so much for tuning in virtually. We wanted to have an action set up for you. It was Texting Tuesdays with one of our local partners, the Power Coalition, that goes out, and they're doing some amazing work with sample ballots and also Step Up Louisiana. And I do want to apologize. It was totally me that did not look closely enough at the literature to realize that the wrong date was on it, but the information was good. But we powered through, right? We're family, right? We make mistakes, but we keep it moving. So I just want to thank you guys for being so nimble on your feet and so gracious. So we were talking about some of the insights that we got into the canvassing event about being in certain neighborhoods. And I know for me, when I started looking at the areas that we were going to be going in, those are some of the areas, and I'm just speaking for me, that I'm a little apprehensive about walking in, right? I always think that because they're in a certain area, that they already have a certain mindset, right? So I kind of almost not write them off, but it is only my own insecurity that says, oh, they don't want to hear what I have to say, you know? And sometimes we have to push through that. And I think that because you guys were here and the power and the spirit that we went out in, we were able to stretch ourselves a little bit more. I know that you saw some extra patrolling of the sheriff's department in certain areas. And so that lets you know where they focus their protection, right? So when people of other Black and brown people are walking through those neighborhoods, you see that they're ready to come in and see what's going on. But in other neighborhoods, it's not patrolling for protection, right? It's patrolling so that they can oppress and demonize, right? So they can incarcerate. And so, but it is important to know that in those areas that we may perceive as being untouchable, there are allies there. And they understand their privilege, and we've also got to reach them. And they've also got to see our powerful, beautiful Black men walking, doing positive things in the community to bring awareness to issues that are important to them. And we prayed protection, and I knew that no harm was going to come to you. So I want to just again tell you how much that we appreciate you putting yourselves out there and doing the work. And y'all threw down yesterday. Can I just say that without hurting anybody's feelings? Y'all threw all the way down. So thank you so much for that. So here we are, our last day together. And I hate to see any of you go. I really, really do. I look so forward to us working together throughout the year, and I cannot wait until we all come back together again for next year's convening. All right, so we want to anticipate that with much joy and much positivity moving forward. Being prepared to talk about the wins, to be able to talk about the losses, to be able to come together. And I want us to be prepared when we come back to really, really give some feedback on the healing spaces that we are going to be erecting within our own circles, right? Within our own local work. We're going to be making sure that we have those spaces where our organizers and our people can come together to share their frustrations, right? That they can come together to get healing together. They can be honest and authentic and respectful, where we can agreeably disagree, but come together with love and cooperation to make our individual communities a better place, but also reaching out collectively across the country, knowing that we're all going through the same stuff. that I'm going through here in Baton Rouge, y'all are going through in North Carolina, y'all are going through in Texas. And so there is commonality and intersectionality here. You are my brother and I am your keeper. I'm praying for you, and I'm going to always be lifting you up and making sure that whatever I can do, whether it's texting somebody or emailing somebody or sharing something on social media or getting in my car and driving and coming and throwing down in your community, whatever it is that you need, that I can make myself accessible. And I own that, and I'll hold myself accountable, and you hold me accountable for what I'm telling you I'm willing to do. Amen. So we have some little housekeeping things that we want to go over. It is known, and I know you guys see the signs around, but checkout is at 12. And so it's an auto checkout. You can, if you haven't already, bring your luggage down here, and there is a space for us to keep it secure for you until you leave, so you won't have to go back and forth to your rooms. So I'm going to leave some space after this check-in and this morning for you guys to be able, for those of you who haven't done that, to be able to do that and be back down here by 10:30 when we start the agenda off officially. So another thing that I wanted to do is make sure that I brought attention and grounding and centering again back to our altar. And when we got here the first night, we chose a couple of items, and we had people to come up and to speak about what those items meant to them. And it's so amazing that coming in, this is what brought you, this is what has grounded you in your work. And now that we leave this place, what are you taking back with you? What have you gained from here? Right? What have you gained from this? So we want to honor this altar table, and I want to ask if there are any volunteers that would like to come up and maybe speak about what they placed on the altar, the significance of what it means to them to be here in this space, and what they're taking back with them. Now, I ask for volunteers, but understand. Y'all understand who I am, so don't make me call you out. So is there one that will come? Right here and right here? All right, that's what I'm talking about. Glory. Come on up here, sweetheart. If you want to grab your item off the table. We want our virtual people to see this. We love you guys so much, and we feel your energy and your presence and your spirit of acceptance and cooperation even in this space. And we want you to know that we see you, and we are grateful that you are here to be with us this morning. Come on, my love. Introduce yourself. Come on right in front of the camera.
Hi, my name is Indiana.
Come this way.
This way? Yeah. Okay. I would be the one. Okay. My name is Indiana. I'm with In Defense of Black Lives Dallas and also Texas Organizing Project. But I brought this. I drew that.
On the spot, at the table with an ink pen.
Damn it.
Well, this is my dad, because I always wear my dad's ring around my neck. I usually wear him and my angels, but I lost a pendant with all my angels on it, but he's still watching me. So my dad was in every way murdered by the state, so that's why I'm here. But also, I'm here because he gave me the swag and the culture to be in this space and to shine and stuff like that. And so that everywhere I go, I bring him with me, and it's been helpful. This man never knew a stranger, and I don't know, I just feel like he's always with me. That's why strangers come up to me feeling like they're welcome and warm and all those other things, even though I'm hecka shy and I don't know why y'all do that to me. but apparently it's him. So yeah, and I have on here that he's here with me, and it's for eternity. So that's the Lord eternity saying.
Great morning, great morning. So I didn't bring anything, but I'm glad you all had the thank you cards because it gave me an opportunity to I'll just read what I put on here. And I say, I put to all the civil rights leaders' backs we're standing on, and to the family that birthed me. Being back in Louisiana, it makes me think about, just where my work started. So it's a remembrance for me. And it also brings me back to two particular things in particular. Well, one particular person in particular, my mentor, who's been my mentor since I got in this work about 10 years ago. His name is Ronnie Moore. He was actually, he got the first person, African-American, registered to vote in Plaquemines Parish here in Louisiana. He actually, walked in spaces with Dr. King. And I also remember the time he brought me to CORE's 50th anniversary, 50th Freedom Summer anniversary that they had down in New Orleans. And I remember being in that space and just being overcome with emotion because it was like I was in the midst of a living, breathing museum and just hearing the stories and some of the challenges, that they face. That has always kept me grounded. It kept me creative, and it kept me diligent in the work that I do. And some of those leaders have since passed on since that 50th anniversary. So we are the next generation, and we're attempting to plan and prepare the next generation. So that's how I organize. I organize to work myself out of a job and pass on the legacy to the next generation.
Hello, I'm Shayna with Never Again Action. Whoop. And I was in the wrong spot. I brought this postcard that one of our chapter members in Memphis, Stuart Jansen, hand printed with someone blowing a Jewish ritual object of the shofar in the ear of the ICE officer. It just really grounds me in the fact that we've got so many people, and also that, and I try also to bring from culture, from stories, from the skills that we have, and then contribute that to the movement to really throw down and make some noise and cause some chaos.
Is there anyone else that would, at this time, either like to reference their altar item or to just maybe come up and give a couple of words about how they're feeling in this space right now? I'm going to speak about my altar item, even though I laid a postcard on it. I've been wanting to bring this picture with me, and a lot of you may think it would be a picture of my son Lamar, but it's a picture of my grandchildren. I have a picture of them standing in the backyard. We took a picture of them lined up. Michael, you know the picture I'm talking about. And recently, 10 years, it's been 7 years. So 7 years later, we took another picture of them to see how they've grown. And somebody talked about legacy and talking about leaving, working ourselves out of a job. I don't want to leave this work for my grandchildren. I want them not to have to do it. And so looking at their picture and how I got started in this, but what sustains me in this is seeing them grow up in a place where they don't have to be afraid to walk down the street for fear of even violence. We need to make our communities better. We start with our interactions with each other. So I just want to fill this space with a spirit of love. A lot of us came into this space hurting, frustrated, ready to walk away, ready to give up, real talk, right? Ready to resign, just wanting our lives back, questioning whether or not we're doing good. But what I pray for you is that you are reminded of the good work that you are doing. I pray that when you go back to your homes that someone walks up to you that you don't even know and say, it's because you passed out a flyer to me. It was because I heard you speak at a rally. It was because of this or that you did. And to remind you and ground you that this is good work. This is righteous work. This is valued work. And that God sees what you are doing. Is there anyone else who would like to come? Chastity? Okay.
Good morning, everybody. I overslept. It's been a trying last couple of weeks, and then flying here from cold weather to hot weather to a whole hour backwards, and we just put the time forward or whatever we did with the time. It just got me all mixed up. But I wanted to hold this space for just 1 second, if I can just get a minute, y'all. The day before we came down here, I was on a call with a couple people in the room, and it kind of changed the tone of how we wanted this space to be. So when we came in here in the beginning and we asked you, what do you need? What do you need? It was for a reason. Because we oftentimes do not ask ourselves that question nor give ourselves that much grace. And so Jacqueline asked me, after me telling them my whole story and crying for about an hour, what do you need, Chastity? And I said, I need to tell the story. I need everybody in this room to hear me and hear exactly what I'm saying. Because what I'm about to say is what we don't speak about in these organizing spaces, that we don't recognize in these organizing spaces, but they are very real. And we need to talk about them. First is mental health, okay? How many of y'all in here are formerly incarcerated? How many of y'all in here have supported somebody incarcerated? How many of y'all in here fight for the incarcerated or detained? So all this room is directly impacted by incarceration. We talk about freedom, what it looks like to free our people physically, but we don't deeply indulge in what it is to free their mind. Because we can free the body all day, but if their mind isn't free, they're not free. We are not free as people who support them, and we are not free as people who fight for them. So with my story, I met my husband in 2016. He was already doing 2 years into a 9.5-year sentence. We got married in 2018 in the Department of Corrections. And that's when my fight began, because I wasn't even aware that this world existed. It didn't affect me in a way that I had to care, because it wasn't in my lap and it wasn't in my front yard. So my fight began in 2018, and I quit my job. I had a corporate job and I quit to chase this. Because when purpose finds you, you can't run from it. You have to run to it, and you have to put all of yourself in it. We checked all the boxes, you guys. We created this organization. We fought for people to be free. We did everything to make sure that when he got out, he had stability. Because what do we tell ourselves? If they got a job, if they got a home life, they're good. But we didn't think about his mind. So when he got out, he was home for 72 days, and we could not deal with each other. Because mentally, I realized that I was institutionalized. I realized that the system had retrained my mind. I was so used to the calls being at a certain time and dinner being at a certain time, and then I didn't realize that I conformed my life to this. I didn't realize that me fighting for justice, and what we do is we take in calls from the prisons of things that are happening. I didn't realize the death on top of death, on top of death, on top of death, thousands of deaths across this country. I was taking in all that trauma, and I had no idea, because all I wanted to do was help. And I forgot about me until it was time for me to deal with it, and it came crashing down on me and him within a day. I filed for divorce because I didn't know how to help him, and I didn't know how to help myself. And when Miss Amelia was talking about systems and how the systems are designed for us to fail, the system took my husband back away from me because I filed for a divorce, and they put him back in prison. Not because he did anything wrong, because according to them, he has no family support. But they didn't give him another option for his mother, his grandmother. It's the systems. Now let me dig a little deeper into the systems and why the next thing I'm gonna say is important: cybersecurity. If you have not locked down everything that you do, from your emails to your telephones, if you don't think that that's real, oh, it is. They watch you, they track you, they follow you, because for 3 years, we have been tracked, we have been followed, and we have been harassed by people we cannot see, but they're around us. And they make things happen to us that you would not believe, that I can't even say here. But I still put a smile on my face, and I get up every day and I put on this cape, and I still keep running for the purpose. My husband went up for early release. We fought for 2 years for body cameras in our prisons in Ohio. Oh, and we won. But the cost, the day that they announced that they were putting all this money into it and it was going to happen, at 11 o'clock that morning, he got denied for an early release. At noon, the Department of Corrections had a press conference and sent me an email to let me know. Okay? This time, on November the 21st, we were fighting for new water systems because they were, in 2 of the prisons, the men and women were receiving well water. It was yellow water from the ground, not filtered. Their intestines were bursting. They were dying. We fought to get fresh water. November the 21st, the Department of Corrections formally announced that they would be investing $9 million into a new plumbing system, new filtration system. And 2 days later, they took my husband back to prison for a technicality of something that he didn't do. Something that I did that I didn't know would affect him. So this altar, I laid up there an apology to him and to all the people that we fought for. Because the one thing that I didn't have a clue would change my life and his, I feel like I failed him and everybody I fight for. Everybody I fight for. Everybody I fight with. And I'm standing here so broken in front of all you as my authentic self. And I'm asking you all to pull down your mask. Not physically, but and be real about what you're dealing with. Because you cannot hold this by yourself. You cannot go through it alone. This is the only space out of all that I've worked in, and you can Google my name because, honey, we get down. Because I don't fear nothing when it comes to this. But C4SA, these people, this is my family. This is my family. It's your family. These are the only people that I could even break down and say, y'all, look, I'm struggling. Because I called 28 attorneys in my state, and you know what they all said? No, they will not help us. 28, because of my name. Yeah, we move work. Yeah, we get it done. But there is a cost to everything that we do. Everything that we do. So I leave with you this. Do not allow this work to inundate you, to overwhelm you, to make you feel insignificant, because it will. It will burn you out. It will drag you. It will make you ask, why am I doing this? Every last one of us is sitting in this room because we were designed and built for this. I will not let this defeat me. You cannot let your own respective things defeat you. Walk out of this room as the warriors and the warrior princesses and the warrior queens that you are. Let it build you. Don't let it break you. These tears, oh, I'm crying. Because I know when I get on that plane and go back to Ohio, oh, they got hell to pay for me and with me. And I just need all the strength and the energy of everybody in this room, because I don't have any right now. And I give it to so many and so much. And it's like now I'm in a position to where I need it. And I don't ask for anything ever. But I need it. And my husband needs it. Yesterday, they took him out of his cell, was approached by 8 correctional officers and interrogated in a room for an hour and drew 8 tubes of blood from him, and nobody knows why. Do I think they're trying to frame him for something? I absolutely do. That's not standard. And I'm being honest with everybody, and I'm saying this because I really want you to really dig deeper and take things like this serious. I have been followed. I have had pictures of my kids at school taken and sent to me as threats to shut my mouth. That's when I knew I was doing something. I'm like, well, what y'all following me for? I ain't nobody. But they let me know I was somebody. And this is real, y'all. So whatever you got to do to protect yourself, your family, the work that you do, we need to put that we need to implement that, and immediately. Immediately. We can't be out here unprotected. All that stuff you seen happening in the 70s. I just sit with Fred Hampton Jr. last month in Alabama. Sit with that man and talk to him. And it made me a little nervous, like, man, whoa, this is real, you know? And I sit with him, and the things that he told me that he goes through and his father went through and the whole movement, and it's modernized and it's happening in 2022. It's real, y'all. But kingdoms are following. And if you think that we ain't doing it, and you think we ain't disrupting, and you think that, hey, they wouldn't be chasing us so hard if we wasn't. We are going to have the America that it once was originally before Christopher Columbus rolled up in here. This belongs to us. This is our land. Okay? And we're going to take it back by storm. Everything that belongs to our people. Everything that belongs to us. So I just wanted to say that and not to leave everybody heavy, because Chastity gonna be all right. I'm a fighter. I was a fighter in the streets when my bones actually worked. You know? But now I'm a fighter in the spirit, and I'm a fighter in this fight. And I know everything is gonna work out, because all things work together for the good that love the Lord. And I love him. And I know he protects me, and we're gonna be fine. But I just wanted to be as open and honest with people in this room, because I want y'all to be honest with yourself. Because y'all probably dealing with stuff, and you think that you can't tell nobody because ain't nobody gonna understand. I understand. So that's all I want to say. I didn't mean to take
jobs, and I was like, well, when I start back working, I'll get back in therapy, and you get back in the hustle of things. And I said, no, I have to do this today. And it was so hard because you feel overwhelmed. One of my leaders got on the call with me and said, I can call half of the list and you call half of the list. We finna find you a therapist today. That's what that looks like. Miss Linda said something really important on that call, and I'm gonna reference the scripture she was speaking to. And I know this is a room of many faiths. I'm speaking from my faith narrative, which is Christian faith, but feel free to lean in however you feel, you know, and however you connect spiritually. Miss Linda referenced this scripture as Chastity and all of us were having a moment. And I'm going to go to Exodus 17 and 11. And it says, as long as Moses held up his hands, the Israelites were winning. But whenever he lowered his hands, the Amalekites were winning. When Moses' hands grew tired, glory to God, they took a stone and they put it under him, and he sat on it. Aaron and Hur held his hands up, one on each side. So they set his hands and remained steady until sunset. I felt the need to bring that scripture into this space because Miss Linda said, I'm going to hold your hands up, and I believe the Lord will give me the strength to do so. And she said that, and in that moment, we all felt our hands being held up. I'm just being honest with you. Communicate your needs. Communicate your needs. Communicate your needs. Communicate your needs. Communicate when you don't got that capacity. Communicate when you need a rock to sit on. Communicate when you need somebody to hold you up. Communication. And honestly, I know that's not easy. You have to be in places where you feel safe to communicate your needs without feeling threatened to lose your job, without feeling threatened that you'll lose leaders, without feeling threatened. But that's what we're in C4SA is creating a culture. See, when y'all walked into this, I've gotten so much feedback, but I need y'all to know we got an evaluation, and I need y'all to do that and say what y'all said to me in that evaluation. But anyway, I was so uplifted when people started walking up to me, and they were saying, I didn't expect this. I actually got tools, and someone else, I've been in so many convenience and things like this. I thought it was going, and it was just like all these misconceptions of what we would be doing, or just I didn't know what it would look like and feel like. But reality is, this was built, not made. We didn't make this space for y'all. We made this space together. We built it together, brick by brick, wall by wall. We'll make the system fall, but we also, brick by brick, wall by wall, have been building communities that will not be disrupted, will not be dismantled, that we've created together for each other. I said it yesterday. I said this yesterday, for us, by us. That's an organizing culture. We're not competing in here. We coming in here with our concerns. We're coming in here with our agitations. We're coming in here with practice. We're coming in here with principle. We're building a new culture. So I apologize if you thought you were coming into something that was something else, but we come in to build, and we're family. And I need you to be equipped when you leave. See, when we designed this, and I said, can I be the coordinator? If I'm gonna be the coordinator, this is what it needs to be. Because I listened. Needs were there. Desires were there. Needs for healing were there. And you have to listen. And when you listen, you can choose if you want to respond. Because you can ignore, which is sometimes what we do in organizing. And I'm just being real. We can ignore when people knocking. We can ignore when people saying, I ain't got it. We can ignore the signs because we move for our people. But I just came up here to agitate the space, because I need you to have that same energy. Keep that same energy about building when it comes to health, when it comes to relationships, seeing about your people, but also seeing about yourself. Check in. Check in. We can't build trusting communities without trusting ourselves and then trusting each other. So I want you to trust yourself. And trust comes with knowing what you can do and what you can't do. Trust comes with I want to attack this fear, right? If there's fear in areas that we don't want to, we do a lot of leadership development. You're not great at everything, But I want to overcome this fear. But sometimes they come hold my hand on this side, because I can't walk this out alone. I cannot walk this out alone. Sorry. But anyways, on another note, with that, I hope you all are feeling really encouraged. I know this is the last day. This is our last day. I really want you to really lean into your neighbor for the next few minutes, or people at your table. Continue to build relationships. Continue to see one another and hear one another and strategize with one another. Don't leave this place without having somebody else's phone number, email, contact information. The same way when you started first organizing. The thing is, I wanted this to be a renewal for folks too. When you first get organizing, you just so energized and you want to meet people. And it's hard, that energy sometimes get lost. But just start with one a day, if that's all you got in you. But if you got it in you I need 10 people cards before I leave, do that too, okay? But I I just really want you to, before you leave, connect with somebody that you did not know before you came into this space. That's what I need you to do. And I need y'all to connect, not just share information, put something on the calendar. And that's gonna be some information later, you know, about building, but I just wanted for this space specifically, like in this room, somebody in the room. I really appreciate y'all. Tell us what your needs are. We're here to support. C4SA is family. And we're gonna kick off today like we've been going. Y'all say this with me, say power. 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 Transformation. 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 And miracles. And miracles. It's the pastors in here. I need y'all saying a miracle. And miracles. And miracles. And miracles. I want it. I want it. I need it. I need it. I got to have it. I got to have it. I need you to move your body. Say power. 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 Transformation. 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 And miracles. Because we need some miracles. Say and miracles. And miracles. I want it. I want it. I want it. I want it. I need 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 you to point at yourself. Hold yourself. I need it. I need it. I got to have it. Hold the hands or hold the body of the person next to you and give them some power. And we're going to get to that miracle together.
All right. That's what I'm talking about.
Let's work that energy. Let's work that energy. Hey, because part of me holding your arms up means we're going to go into a place of introspection, but we're going to come out with the victory. Hey, we're going to praise for the victory. Glory, glory, glory. So I just wanted to reiterate that at this time, our next agenda item starts at 10:30. From at 10:30 to 11 a.m., and that is going to be the air we build, that's capacity building. And from 12 to 1 is our evaluation piece. Look, guys, we really have come together and done some amazing work and have done some amazing building amongst ourselves. So now that we still need the voices as we go forward to evaluate how we get better. Because if you felt loved and respected and grounded and supported in this space, we definitely want to take that back to our communities, but we want to plan for our next convening as well. So we need your evaluations on how we can make it better for you, and how we can make it more supportive, and how you can get involved in being active in every decision that C4SA is making, because it is our coalition. It is us working together. Every voice is required. Every voice is needed. Every voice is important. So right now we've got about 30 minutes. If anybody needs to go upstairs and get any luggage, bring it down. Remember, we have a secured space for you to put it in. That way we don't have to leave once the program gets started. We're going to be culminating from 1 to 1:30 just with reflections. Be ready to come up here and talk. Be ready to come up here and say something. This table in the back, my beautiful Hispanic speaking contingent back there, we want to hear from you. We want you to come up here and let us know how you felt in this space with us. I'm Pastor Dr. Michael. I haven't heard from you since
Don't get me started.
Don't play with me, because I'm real. I'm sorry. You know I'm going to go in there, but I'm going to do it. I'm sorry. But yes, there are a lot of voices in here. If you just come up and give us one word of how you feel in the space, even if it's a critique, we grow from that, okay? So I'm about to put some music on. You guys continue to fellowship. Like I said, get emails, get phone numbers. Let's find out how we can work together. Let's find out how we can use what we've been doing. Are there any more announcements I need to make before I turn off the mic? Any other announcement anybody wants to make before I turn off the mic? What's it? Oh, I'm sorry. This is a wonderful man here. I want to introduce y'all to this man. He is local. And I really want him to come up and say a couple of words, but he's been helping us with our live stream. And I want y'all to know, family, for full disclosure, see, I'm looking really into the camera at y'all right now. For full disclosure, this man walked in at the midnight hour. Can I tell you that? At the 1 a.m., at the what they say, at the 1 yard line, he walked in and took over this this operation for us, and we are just so appreciative of him. But this man right here does some amazing work here locally with his production company. And I want you to come up just a couple of minutes, Johnny, and just greet everybody. If y'all haven't met him before, he is an amazing voice in our community. Come on, Johnny. Y'all receive him. You got 5 minutes.
Good morning. How y'all doing? All right, my name's Johnny Domino. That's my pseudonym. I know Elmer was like, who am I paying? Your government name or your pseudonym? I was arrested by the Secret Service, and they typed in, I had a fake ID that had Johnny Domino on it. And they typed that in as one of my aliases. So when I changed my life, I'm like, I'm going to take that and make that name powerful. And I actually did. If you go around this town, that list that I send you, if you talk to any of those people that's at those restaurants or at those places or at those black-owned businesses, they know Domino. They know Johnny Domino. I created a community news station called Ghetto Ways Media. The community is right now reporting any police sighting, any crime, anything that's going on. They send it straight to us, and I got some people that work it day in and day out, and they put it up because it's not tainted. It's not WNB, it's not WBRZ, it's what the people say they've seen and they're submitting their proof. We do a brief verification and put it up. We didn't know the power of it, and I didn't even want it. I tried to give it to the NAACP because you can't call WNB and say, take my cousin's house down there, my cousin in the house or whatever. They were calling me. I was like, man, nigga, leave me alone. I'm just telling y'all straight up. Like, leave me alone, man. You don't do WBRZ that. Leave me the hell alone. So I tried to give it to the NAACP, but they were like, man, we need you to stay because people are rocking with it because it's you. So I didn't even realize the influence, but what ended up happening is people started asking me, what's going on with this bill? What's going on? Who should we vote for here? What are they doing in city council? So I started busting up in council meetings, and I started coming in there, and I'm loud, and I just do my thing. I don't care. If you're right, you're right. You're wrong, you're wrong. But it's been a lot of people that look like us that get into these positions, and they milking it dry. And the community is even worse when they leave. So me personally, I don't care if it's my homeboy, if it's my partner. I did a lot of stuff in the streets, but now I own the land. I gotta fix this place before I die. Yeah. And that's my whole goal. So I use my cameras and my media. I stopped acting. I was on TNT, Claws, Speaking Roles, Showtime, Your Honor. But we don't have no ownership in that. We don't have no control of that. Warner Brothers on there, somebody else on there. So I'm building Ghetto Ways to make black educational entertainment that's entertaining, but it's teaching you. Because like Baton Rouge is 46% black and 42% white. So if we all really came out and vote, we can win. We can win here locally. But if you don't know that, or you don't understand what certain things are, what they're talking about, then you know they kill us with verbiage. They always kill us with verbiage. They told us to vote for Amendment 7, I believe, to stop slavery in jail. And it's crazy we're still talking about slavery, but they did a whole bunch of stuff, man. And you don't know you either paid or played in politics. So you got to try to figure things out. But oh yeah, I lost an iPhone. I don't know where. I've been. When they talk about midnight, I squeezed them in to come try to get this conference. Had a lot of stuff going on, but I lost an iPhone if anybody saw it. But it's fine. But if y'all need any type of media press or anything, they took Ghetto Ways that got up to 50,000 subscribers, no promotion, no nothing. The people even arguing with the police. The police told a dude the other day, he was on live, and I wish somebody would have recorded it. The police told a dude, you ain't gonna do nothing but put it on Ghetto Ways. And the dude said, I showing them is. But it's making them be accountable because I'm not gonna hide it. You're not my friend. You mess over one of my people, we're gonna put it up there, and then we got to see about fighting on the back end to get things done. But I appreciate because Ms. Linda Frankson and Reverend Alexis Anderson, they do so much. They fight in that Paris prison day in and day out. And if you go on YouTube and type in Ghetto Ways, and Ways is W-A-Z-E, Ghetto Ways, like the Ways app, they got an interview with her and Alexis Anderson on there that they came and did. We got a multimedia studio, 10-person podcast studio, a news desk, and a 2-person interview station. I wish I'd have knew this beforehand, because we could have got y'all in there and advertised, because the people are always looking for things to do and what to get involved with through us. And it kind of like built itself, y'all. And what's your name? You didn't fail your husband, the system failed your husband. I want you to know that. You didn't know that. Things bad, we divorce. We get divorce rate 50%. That ain't on you. And I felt that though. But that's the things that I didn't understand that were going on. There's so many things that they slide in, and policy and bills that you don't know. In Louisiana, we got parishes. I hear y'all say counties, but we the only state with parishes, and I feel like we the most corrupt state in America. I got people, this Ghetto Ways thing is crazy, because I got people that's coming to me saying, I got this girl and somebody touched her, and we went and told the police. The police brought the man that touched her to the house, to the sheriff. Brought the man to the house to talk to the victim. You must got it wrong. The corruption so high at the top, the sheriff is cool with the brother that's a lawyer that's cool with the governor. And that's how I talk. I don't give a shit what position you in. You know, I answer to God. So I don't care how high you get and what position you're in or who paid you. I'm going to just tell the people the truth and let them deal with it how they deal with it. It's bad down here, y'all. This lady had to run to the NAACP. Imagine you got somebody that got a victim that ran and they've been sexually assaulted, and they ran to the sheriff, and the sheriff brought the man back to the house. This lady had to move to Mississippi, y'all, to fight this battle. She had to go to the NAACP. Eugene Collins was the only one to help her. It's crazy, but the corruption here is bad, and that Mississippi run down and everything run on down here, it's dirt down here. So whenever y'all want to come down here and help us, let Ms. Linda know, and we'll be on the ground somewhere. And I appreciate y'all.
I tell you, Louisiana is like New York, huh? If we can make it here, we can make it anywhere, right? If we can break it, we can break it. Okay, one more comment, and then we want you guys, if you need to go get your luggage, to go get your luggage. And we're going to have about 30 minutes to fellowship before we start.
I forgot to tell y'all this. So if y'all want to, go on my website at www.opjl.us. We are currently right now working with, and you might have seen the cards on the table, it said got pics, and it had a brain on it. We're currently working with the University of Cincinnati and Cincinnati Children's Hospital doing a research project on post-incarceration syndrome. And we're trying to get it disassociated from PTSD because it's different. And I don't know if y'all know the history of PTSD, but PTSD wasn't a thing that they wanted to give the soldiers when they wanted to diagnose the soldiers as when they came back. It was just something stationary, a name that they put on what they were dealing with. And PTSD and PICS is two totally different things. If you have been incarcerated, support somebody that's incarcerated, you have children who has a parent that's incarcerated, or you do this, it's different. It's nothing like PTSD. Similar, but not different. It's different. But we have been RIB approved by the university, which means all of the research will be studied by students. So we are making history with this. And we're trying to get the ADA to really recognize this as a disorder so people who are in the space and suffer from it can get properly diagnosed, and they can get proper care that they need when they come home from prison, or, you know, if you support somebody. So you can go on the website, take the survey, www.opjl.us, and if you click under programs and projects, you'll see post-incarceration syndrome. Take the survey. It takes about 12 minutes to take it, but it's really important that we get this research done, y'all, and I feel so blessed that the university has decided to partner with us on it. Thank you.
OPJL?
That's a good information, another resource that we can take back to our local contenders. see how we can get involved in that. That is just so, and not only psychologically, but physically. There's some research to be done that has been done that shows that incarceration actually adversely affects the health of those brothers and sisters who the stress of being incarcerated causes them to have physical manifestations, high blood pressure, diabetes, even pulmonary problems that are caused psychosomatically because of the stress that they're under in those spaces. All right, guys, if you need to go get your luggage, go get your luggage. If not, let's take these few minutes here to finish up our breakfast and get ourselves ready to end this on a positive and strong.
You finna speak? Can you speak in front of the cameras to the live people?
I got you.
People be forgetting about my live people like they don't love them, man.
Do we want to give folks a couple more minutes?
Yeah, you can just announce everything.
Hey, everyone. So we're going to give folks a couple minutes to just trickle back in. Feel free to get your refreshments if you need anything to keep you settled while we have our session. We'll get started in about 3 to 4 minutes.
What? In here.
That was right.
Like in the notebook, you know that this was this thing, and it was like specific people that you want to either build a relationship with, follow up, have another conversation. You also like it's probably in your heart then. On the little side thing, I just
That's how I'm there, man. With the high school, with middle school, third, fourth grade, everybody.
That's fine. I have your number.
I've seen someone else.
Not surprised. Really like that? You're supposed to sit in the seat of some other person.
She has black skin. She has black skin. Black skin being black. This is black I don't think we're African American. I don't think she's black and probably really tall
I do this. Raise that criteria. It's 600, 1,200 people like myself. They would have been charged without the fact they would have been charged recently. Because as long as you're trying to violate 1,200 people charged recently, and that cleared a whole lot of felons like this within the sector. And then just like inviting food, outlaw legalizing marijuana. I said, each state, they will collect me. In some states, it's just so happens that in 90 circuits, I'm supposed to circuits and all. So I'm saying this makes me it's a federal court, so that's what she's in each state laws. Federal gun rights. Federal court, state of Texas, that restored federal gun rights.
Hey, for all the materials? Yeah. Do you want me to just start passing it out? Because I feel like it takes longer when we're trying to put it off. Yeah, you can go take this. Do you like
Yeah, we should. We should just get rally folks together. Folks will be coming in. I guess everybody's not back. We should definitely just rest.
What do you think that, I just think I'm taking Yeah.
All right, so if everyone can finish up those last minute conversations and find your way back to your seat, we don't want to get too far behind schedule.
At least they did the electronic. I don't want to show you. Yeah, don't worry about it.
Hey everybody, we're about to get started. We're gonna give our attention to the front of the room. Miss Deanna LaFay is going to start our next session entitled The Air We Built. So, in about 15 seconds.
I ain't with no equipment.
I'll just, light touches. Really? All right, here we go.
All right, so I appreciate all of you for your time and attention. Today, I'm going to go quickly through these slides because I know that a lot of this information will be things that you already know or that you've already implemented, but I kind of wanted to use it as a way to kind of get all the pieces of the puzzle on the table so that we can put the picture together, collectively. So, So I'm going to talk a little bit about the work that I've been doing and then go into how to kind of build layered strategies, right? The importance of building a foundation and centering youth organizers, how to leverage the data that you have about your community to make sure that you are reaching out to folks in a way that's meaningful for them. And then we're going to talk about mobilizing and creating your own opportunity. So just a brief introduction about myself. My name is Deanna LaFay, and I'm from Dallas, Texas. Over the past 10 years, I've worked with several nonprofit organizations and political campaigns. More recently, I worked with Black Voters Matter. I was the state organizing manager for Texas. And so a lot of this presentation kind of came from my work there. After leaving there, I started my own staffing agency, and what we've been doing is being intentional about investing in the next generation of leaders and creating local coalitions that will help us build regional power with the ultimate goal of using that power to position ourselves to implement policy. Yes. So there are 3 things that I want you to walk away with today. I want us to understand the importance of surveying the land, which means knowing the needs of your community and how to meet those needs. We also want to understand how important it is to leverage your victories to instill hope in the community that you're serving. And lastly, we want to talk about the importance of building power through advocacy. Right, so before we get started, I have a check-in question. Music is the easiest way to change the atmosphere in a room, right? So I want us to take a second just to think about your favorite song. What moment does that song transport you back to? And I'll take like one person who wants to share one memory.
About a song?
Yeah.
Oh, childhood.
Okay, what about it? Do you have a smell that comes to mind, colors, taste?
Not the smell of, growing up in a black household on Saturday morning.
Cleaning. And what were you listening to? What were you listening to?
We listen to Keith Slick, and Mom listen to Keith Slick.
Okay.
So that's how I'm going down.
Got it. I saw another hand back there. What were you listening to?
I was going to say the
same thing, but in our house, it was Johnny Taylor and Betty Wright.
Okay. Right, and I think it's so important to think about things like that, right? Like the way that we store memories is often connected to food that we have, music that we heard, or an experience that we had with a loved one. Go ahead.
I've been a little bit off his, but also there's a particular song, Order My Steps, that my grandmother and I used to enjoy together. And I can't hear it without thinking of that memory of us riding in the car, burning up the tape. Yeah, I'm that old. Tapes, remember tapes? Burning up the tapes, listening to it over and over again. But every time I hear that song now, it takes me right back.
I love that example. And it's important, right? Like, it's important for us to understand what grounds us in the work that we're doing. And I have a similar story that I want to share, right? So I remember it being the day of the inauguration day, right, when Barack Obama was elected. I had the opportunity to be in DC for the ceremony. And I remember standing next to a young woman and her grandmother. And the young woman was translating what was being said in Spanish to her grandmother. And in that moment, I immediately thought of my great-grandmother. She's from Newberry, South Carolina, but she was living in Buffalo, New York at the time. And I called her because I wanted her to know that her seed had made it to that moment, right? And I realized that my political journey was born of hope, right? That was the first time I voted. I was at an HBCU that year, and we had a parade, right? It was 2 a.m. in the morning. We had a parade around campus. And I think it's so important, like I said, to ground yourself in those memories, because you need to have something to glean from in the moments that you feel insecure about what you're doing or just unsure about the community that you're building, right? And so we always want to have one or two things that pull us back. And we do that by documenting our story, because we build collective power by lifting our voices in unison, right? And you talking about your grandmother triggered my memory of my grandmother, and it really works like that. Us opening up and sharing creates space for other folks to share and leverage that experience to build power collectively, right? And so building a foundation is necessary, right? Before we do anything, we have to figure out what is already there, right? Sometimes you go into a situation and there's work that's already been done, right? And we don't ever want to disrespect what has been done by coming in and making it as though all of our new ideas are more important, right? You always come into new spaces giving honor to those who sacrifice before you and making sure that they know you're there to support, to listen, and to build together, right? We build together in a way that's sustainable when we acknowledge the presence of what's come before us, right? And so another layer of building that foundation, right? Once you kind of have thought through what the groundwork has been, you then transition to who can help you hold the work. And this is where it becomes important to make sure that you continue to censor those most affected. And from my experience in this field, I often find that there is always a young person who is affected by whatever you're doing, right? Whether it's criminal justice reform, whether it's housing access, student loan forgiveness, there is always a young person that is affected by it, but may not have a path forward, right? And so you want to be intentional about empowering these young people to do the work with you, because you are not only training them to be the next generation of leaders, you're giving the tools to have conversations in their community, and you have access to their innovative ideas, right? This generation is more tech savvy, and they may have a nuanced experience that can bring understanding to other problems, right? We also want to make sure that we know about our community instead of assuming about our community. Oftentimes when you have policymakers sitting at a table, the policy that they're developing, there is no one there that represents that experience. And so it becomes that you're assuming the needs, right? And anytime you start to plan based off an assumption, even if you come up with the solution, it may not be effective because, again, you don't really know what's needed. So that's why data is so important, right? Demographics like age, sex, race, socioeconomic status helps us to understand patterns, right? It doesn't matter if you know what's wrong if you don't know how long it's been happening. It's also important to make sure that you survey the community, right, and document experiences. Not only does this feed into your data collection, but it also gives a chance for people to feel seen and heard, and there's healing that comes from that. Simply, Chastity was sharing earlier, just sharing your experience creates a level of healing. You feel seen and heard, and the solutions are directly related to that experience. So this is just a recap of the survey that we did in Texas last year, right? So we surveyed over 400 individuals across the state of Texas. 73% of them identified as African American. And I will say this, saying that right there opened up so many doors for me when I was having discussions, because most people don't have survey data that reflects a specific group of people. A lot of times you have a collection and it's hard to talk about a disadvantaged group when you don't have data that supports that. Right, and this was timely data. And one of the questions that stood out to me was one asked if they trusted their elected officials. Only about 19% actually said yes. Over 3/4 of them said no or a little bit, right? And that means something when a large portion of the community does not trust those who are representing them. We also found that employment was an issue that affected a lot of people. Employment, housing, healthcare, and education were the top 4 issues, right? And again, knowing this information gives us an opportunity to create real solutions that have impact. So check-in question 2. Deep canvassing gives organizers a better understanding of community needs. How often does your group conduct comprehensive surveys? I would love some feedback. Do you all collect your own data? I've been a part of groups where they leverage the data of other groups, right? It's like, oh, in 2020, such and such found that. But how many of you are actually collecting the data on your own? Would you like to share your experiences?
Well, our organization down home in Alamance County, North Carolina, collects data. I just learned about deep canvassing in the last few months as a fellow of down home. So it's an interesting approach to getting people to understand different points of view. And we do collect data from that.
Perfect. And what has been your experience with that deep canvassing? Do the community members feel more comfortable sharing their experience with you? Are they more receptive to maybe volunteering and getting involved because they feel like there's a deeper level of care?
Yes, and the key point there is the sharing the experiences. So the person who is initiating contact, the deep canvassing experience was through phone banking, and so we couldn't see each other, but we could feel one another's story through the technology. So yeah, they were more apt to share once they heard our story.
Exactly. I love that. Thank you for sharing. Would anyone else? Is anyone else collecting their own data? Go ahead.
Yeah, I think we were kind of forced to collect our data and balance as it relates to finding out how many individuals are detained in the county jail at $100 or less bail. What actually brought that on is that as we were going to the county jail 3 times a month to bail folks out, we were running consistently into individuals with bails of $1, $2, $10. And this is cash bail. This is not even going to the bail linesman. This is cash bail amounts. So when we started asking the county judge and Clay Jenkins and we were meeting with Darryl Morton and also with the county commissioner, and we were asking them for this information, how many individuals are detained in the jail at that amount. Either they didn't think it existed, or they didn't know, or they just never responded. So what we did was every morning we get a list of a spreadsheet of everybody that got booked into the county jail within the last 24 hours. And we have a team right now actually going through that list of 100 to 200 names a day. And they've been doing that for the past month or so, going back 7 months to identify how many individuals are taking that price point. So we've just been kind of doing it on our own.
First, can we just give a round of applause for that amazing work? Because a lot of times we are so close to victory, and like you're saying, people are in jail for $1 or $10, right? Those small victories definitely build hope and support for what you're doing. I also love that you said that you engage elected officials, right? You can leverage your access to timely data for funding, for a shot at the mic, right? Like if you come to city council meetings, county commissioner meetings, and you have data to support what you're doing, they're gonna give you the mic, right? And so you create another opportunity for those experiences to be heard simply by collecting that data. So thank you both for sharing that. Would anyone else like to share the data that they're collecting? I was going to say the same thing. It sounds like you created a level of trust that said that, one, we protect us, right? That's what you're saying. That says that you can't deal with us like that, and if you do, we're going to document it, right? But it also says that because I'm being transparent, that creates space for you to find work in this as well. Go ahead.
I think for us, we conduct like two types of like canvassing. One is like when we're doing voter outreach, right? Like trying to educate. That's one piece, but for us, this other piece of like, in order to get a better understanding of our community needs, it's not just the voters, but in terms of like our directly impacted base who can't vote. Yeah. And so for us, we conduct like either a yearly or at least try to conduct an assessment, and it's almost like not a survey, but more of like a deep listening session. So that's what we call it within Faith in Action. It's like we call them listening sessions. And most of our member federations, that's what they do locally in order to move forward.
And what you're saying is important, right? If someone can't vote, this is another way that they can show up and be accounted for, especially in relation to the needs of the community, right? Like, that gives them power.
Yes.
Okay. All right, so just wanted to briefly go over some of these canvassing tools, and a few of you mentioned them, right? The door-to-door canvassing gives us feedback. Peer-to-peer texting is effective for different groups and at different times, right? Phone banking also gives a chance for us to have those deeper conversations. And then lastly, for me, all of these are tools that can be used to collect surveys, but I put surveys on there in particular for in-person events, right? What we would do is when we were collecting those 400 responses, we would go to like concerts, we would go to festivals and set up a table, have giveaways on the table, and people would fill out the survey right there, right? So QR codes are useful as well. And just to briefly go over like the mobilization, one of my pictures didn't come through, but so the importance of youth activists being the center of your organizing, right? Helping to register, educate, and recruit community members to volunteer. You then want to galvanize a broader coalition around those youth activists, like your churches, your social action committees at your church, NAACP, the Divine Nine groups, right? Any community group that may not have the time that the youth activists have, but they do have the network and they do have other means of support. You also want to pull in elected officials, like we talked about earlier, because they can create a safe space. Well, they can create a space for communities to share their concerns, right? And we can hold them accountable for making sure that the space is safe. And then lastly, business owners. And I separated business owners from the broader coalition because I think that we do ourselves a disservice by not fully engaging our business owners, right? Business owners, one, they can leverage power in a way that normal community members may not be able to, right? If we need a sidewalk paved or a parking lot redone, your business owner will have more leverage at city council and the county commissioner than you will as an individual, right? They can also create systems for you to disseminate information. Like we had businesses, restaurants that, you know, in the middle of COVID, nobody was going outside, but everybody was ordering food. So we were putting election reminders in the bags, right? Not telling them who to vote for, but just saying, this is an election coming up. Are you registered to vote? You can come. We were partnering with the 7-Eleven and Walmart. They would, I don't know why I said the 7-Eleven, but 7-Eleven and Walmart, they would let us set up outside, right? And so wherever people are frequenting, you want to set up a table there and you want to engage the businesses. All right, so the last part is create your own opportunity, right? And we do that by, one, registering voters and making sure they're educated about when to vote, but then also going deeper. We have to reinvest in civics education, right? And it's more important for us to know, well, I won't say it's more important, but it's equally as important for them to know when to vote as it is for them to know the authority that the person who they're voting for will have at their disposal once they're elected, right? Because that feeds into our understanding of the system. A lot of times, if we don't know who has the authority to make the change, it comes off as a complaint versus a demand, right? A complaint is me identifying what happened and me voicing that, right? Sometimes we don't even acknowledge what we need, we just acknowledge what happened, right? A demand is saying, this happened, this many people in my community were affected by it, right? You always want to attach data to the story, but you're also saying, this is what I know you can do because you have the authority to do it. And if you don't do it, you're either not going to be reelected or we're going to hold you accountable in another way, right? You have to make a demand. We can't make a complaint, right? Because that's where we create that narrative that Black people are emotional, but it's really that we are emotional because we've been traumatized intentionally by systems, right? But beyond that, we have to free ourselves enough to think through solutions for ourselves. It's easier to approach an elected official and say, this is what we expect you to do, versus saying, this is our problem, you need to figure out a way to fix it. Especially if they haven't come from that situation, they don't have ideas on how to fix it because they haven't lived that life. And so you create justice for yourself by giving opportunity to your own solution. Also volunteering, because we build collective power by engaging our volunteers fully. Now, you may not always be able to pay people, but you should be intentional about feeding them, making sure they have some swag or like some type of paraphernalia that makes them feel part of a community, and also identifying a way to make it mutually beneficial, right? Like if you're engaging with a college student, they may need a letter of recommendation, right? You may want to document community service hours. Make sure that you have identified a way that you can serve them as they're serving with you. And also upward mobility. We want to identify those volunteers that have potential for growth and intentionally invest in them on every level. I wouldn't have made it to where I was if every step of the way there wasn't a Black woman saying, sit right here. You don't even gotta say nothing, just sit here and listen, right? But because you came in the room with me, when you are ready to talk, they're gonna listen to you because I've leveraged my access, right? And so we have to be intentional about raising our own leaders. So this is kind of the prompting for our exercise. And sorry if I ran through that too fast, but I really want to spend most of the time, allow you to spend most of the time on your own ideas. So think about a community need that you could build power around. What would you change? And I would love a couple.
I'm gonna read this one from the live.
Okay.
We got Laura on the live. She says, in the data we've collecting here in Colorado, we found most people facing deportation are in the situation because of having some sort of contact with police. So her data is directly reflecting people getting deported with having interactions with police in Colorado. That's Laura.
Thank you for that amazing work. And that helps us also to keep track of where, if people are getting deported, a lot of times their family members won't even know where they are, right? And so the great way that we collect data helps us to keep ourselves safe. Would anyone else like to share about what they want to change in community? Go ahead.
So where I live, in the county, there is what we call East Burlington, predominantly black and brown communities or neighborhoods. And there's a missile plant there, former missile plant from the 1950s that's been closed for 30 years, and it has contaminated water and groundwater and contaminated soil there that goes within the communities. This side of town also doesn't have, it's underdeveloped. It needs some business revitalization. It basically has fast food restaurants, which is not healthy. And so I wanted to change and have been vocal about the conditions of the water and the soil there. So I ran for office, and I built a voter base of over 20,000 people this year, and won office. And so what I want to do is to continue to educate people about how they can make change themselves and advocate for themselves, and continue to build that base so that we can say, hey, we want this done and we want it now.
Exactly, and thank you for reading my mind, right? You hit all the points, right? You identified an issue in your community, and instead of saying, this is what they need to do, you said, I'm gonna do it. I have the solution, I also have the power to leverage, and I'm gonna make the change, right? So, go ahead.
When I answer this question, I think about like a couple of years or even a year ago, I was that girl who said, I wanna shut a tower down in Dallas County Jail. And like, folks like, what is a tower? What is a tower? And like, I remember like having to explain like the makeup of the jail. And like, I think it was a need, and then not even that. We come back a year forward, and they're talking about building another jail. So not only is it like, we don't even want the jail, if it's full capacity now, we're talking about building another jail. So that's something that I think, we definitely should be serious about, and build power around.
Yeah, and I also, thinking of COVID, right? Like, we found out that a lot of these prisons or jails didn't have clean water, right? They weren't sanitary. There weren't restrooms, right? They weren't being
stocks as mad.
Yeah, right. And they also weren't keeping track of how many inmates were dying of COVID, right? There are no clear numbers on how many were affected or how many passed away, right? And so it's important for us to really tap into those invisible places where things happen and there's no accountability. So now I want us to take some time.
They're already on the table.
Oh, thank you. So if we can go to the next slide. So I think it's always important to give a tool or create an apparatus for you to like build change, right? And so there are 6, depending on what state you're in, I'll say that because I'm from Texas, so we can't do all of them. But depending on what state you're in, you have 6 different ways that you can build direct access to policy directly, right? So a charter amendment is when you get enough signatures through a petition and you are making a change to the city charter, which is kind of like the city's constitution, right? You can also do a statewide ballot initiative that creates a policy or ordinance. You can also repeal laws or codes. For instance, I'm originally from Michigan, so the year that I moved, 2018, not only did Gretchen Whitmer win governor, but we also got same-day voter registration, we got online voter registration, we also got legalization of marijuana, and these were ballot initiatives. So this was the people saying this is what we want, and we're not waiting for our elected officials, right? A recall election is when you remove an elected official, right? And we got to take that power back, right? These are public servants, so that if they are not serving the public, they should not be employed. And we have to understand how to leverage those tools to sustain power and progress that we built for our own communities. Another one, referendum is a direct vote on a proposal, a law, or an issue that the council has voted on. It may also be an advisory, offer advisory support to elected officials. Number 5 is a mill levy. So this is assessed taxes used by local governments to raise revenue for educational expenses. And the last one is a bond, which is a loan issued that helps you raise funds for real estate or buildings. So an easy way to remember is that mill levies are used for learning, for education, and bonds are used to invest in buildings and infrastructure development. When I had an internship this summer in Denver, and we were working on a mill levy to increase teacher pay by 20%, and they also invested in career development training for high school students, right? We have a large employment gap in our vocational trades, and we have to invest in our students, right? And so you can use a mill levy as a way to make sure that your students have what they need and that the teachers have access to a livable wage. So the sheet that you have on your table is what I want us to use as a way to kind of map out that change, right? So the who, we want to identify for the issue that you selected, who is most affected by this issue, right? And who is being suppressed, right? Like, who are we fighting for? First, identify that. What are we, what are we trying to do? Like, what is the goal? Are we passing a mill levy? Are we trying to recall an election? What are we doing? When are we doing it, right? Especially when we talk about a ballot initiative, you have to collect signatures, so you have to map that out, right? How many signatures do I need to collect? When do I have to submit those signatures? How long does it take to get on the ballot? Where, right? You have to identify, is this a city ordinance? Are you doing something countywide? Is it statewide? And then why? Right? Like, why are we doing this? What will it change? And why does it need to be changed? So this is just the blank chart that you have, right? So your victims, who are the victims? Who are the activists, those young activists? Who are the coalitions that you can leverage or galvanize around this issue? Who are the stakeholders? And the difference between coalitions and stakeholders, when I do this exercise, right, you can make it your own, but stakeholders are business owners, right? People in the community that have another layer of leverage. Coalitions, they build power around that issue, right? And then electeds are those who can create space for you to have conversations and things like that. So as you're doing your own worksheet, I kind of wanted to share a proposition that we worked on in 2021. So in San Antonio, they have it's a very corrupt police force, right? And listed up here are 10 of the barriers that we identify in their current contract, right? So you can be aggressive, right? That aggression is documented, and then that record is kind of reversed through arbitration, right? So there will be a hearing behind closed doors, and they kind of sweep it under the rug, right? They also have access, accused officers also have access to the evidence before testifying, so that they can create their own narrative before you even really know what happened, right? There's also an unrealistic timeline, or time limits for investigating misconduct, right? They have such a quick turnaround where you really can't investigate effectively, which increases the likelihood that no real action will be taken. There was also a delay of interviews for accused officers. The name of the accuser was revealed to police officers, which increased intimidation, right? Officers use discretionary time to pay themselves while suspended, so we pay for their misconduct, basically. There's no civil oversight, really regarding access to personnel files. The cities are permitted to charge us for their misconduct. And then there also is a clause in there that if they decide that they don't want to negotiate their police union contract, that they can just let it stay as it is for 8 years, and there's no accountability. So those were the barriers that we saw.
We got the Officers' Bill of Rights.
it's like the Officers' Bill of Rights down here. If they do something, they got 30 days before they can be even interrogated. So if I did something today, I got 30 days before they can even interrogate as a police, right? In that time, I could do all kind of things. It's just like you said, the unrealistic time, and then they know who made the complaint.
Right.
Intimidation. It's the same thing down here, and it's all in the Officers' Bill of Rights. That's where the rules are made.
And it's crazy that you would have such protection for someone who's supposed to be serving the community, right?
Yeah. Why does he need it?
Right.
Right.
Right. And so what we did, our solution was to create a Proposition B, which was an initiative that was focused on dismantling the current police contract. So it resulted in more voters engaged, being engaged with our initiative than all of the mayoral candidates combined, right? So that means that more people showed up to vote for our ballot initiative than they showed up to vote for the mayor, right? We had over 150,000 people show up. We also increased turnout in the Black and Latinx community by 25% in each community, right? And we also changed the conversation, right? And sometimes that goes back to leveraging those small victories. That was a victory for us, right? We created a blueprint that could be duplicated across the state. We knew that the messaging was right. We knew that the community was ready to make the change. We just didn't have enough time, right? And it rained, in Texas, it rained like crazy on election day too. So to think that, we only lost by less than 1,500 votes. You can go to the next one. And then layers of progress, right? So we didn't stop there. We're now in the process of getting more signatures and we kind of just adjusted it, right? So the new ballot initiative will have be multi-layered, right? So we're focused on decriminalization of marijuana, decriminalization of abortion access, banning no-knock warrants and chokeholds, and also codifying cite and release. And by doing this, you can galvanize multiple coalitions, right? It's like everybody who is in support of abortion may not be in support of codifying cite and release, but that's okay. I'll talk, whatever the work that you're doing, we're gonna discuss that together, and whatever we don't agree on, we don't have to discuss. But that's a way for you to leverage power in every area, because everyone who shows up for marijuana may not show up for abortion, but that's okay. It's a numbers game. And so that's it, right? I want you to try it on your own. Identify, like I said, that issue and work through the worksheet to see, do I already have what I need, right? Because a lot of times we have what we need, we know the people, we just haven't mapped out the process. And we also it's because we haven't mapped out the process, we haven't identified the layers, and without the layers, it's hard to make a timeline. So that's what I challenge you to do now in the last few minutes.
Okay, y'all, I'm gonna give y'all, it says 20 minutes here, we're a little behind time. So, and Lynn, thank you so much. Thank Deanna again for her presentation and for just bringing us all in. So we've been a little bit running over the last few days. I'm gonna give y'all 10-ish minutes to work on that the sheet. It's a table, it should be on everyone's table. If you don't have one, let me know. Are they all handed out for me? They all handed out. Well, you should have one, because I'm sure there's more. A few more. If you don't have one, let me know. We'll get it to you. But we'll take about 10 minutes and we'll do that. I'm gonna go back to where she actually on the community assessment. Who, what, when, where, why, down vertically and horizontally, victims, activists, coalitions, stakeholders, and electeds. Give you about 10 minutes to work on that, and then we will move on to the next segment. We're closing soon. I know y'all are getting antsy. People are leaving, heading out.
And it's okay if you don't have something for every slide, but
the community assessment for those in live, y'all should have it emailed you guys. So check your email, and you all should be able to participate in it as well. Right.
So we're about to move.
She was confused.
That was a bad
I know I see the full shape.
I'm sure they were there for us.
I was waiting for somebody to come out. I was waiting for all the cameras to show up. They start coming down the street walking their dogs. I mean, it was like 10 feet, and all of a sudden they're out with their dogs on leashes. Y'all living down here in the South, y'all are soldiers. I've literally done a tour of the South in the last 90 days. From Mississippi to Montgomery, Panama, and back road. And I just wanted to tell you, y'all some soldiers. I'm from West Virginia.
It's verified was there. It's just
Oh, you have that one. Tear them up so good. Everything is so outdated. And they're up. They don't have very much. We could really go down there and literally take over. They're not yeah. There's a lot that they can do. We were just telling them the other day how we got a new share.
Ooh, where's that light coming from? Hey, hello. Ooh, how are we doing?
All right.
Everybody doing good? Did y'all enjoy that training?
Yes.
All right, let's give another hand to Miss LaFaye. LaFaye, nice to meet you, sweetheart. Thank you so much for giving us such good information, which I'm gonna get later on. But let's take a minute to just kind of stretch. Just take a minute. We've been sitting down. We've been in the work with it. Let's just kind of stand up for a minute. Let's stretch it out. Stretch it out. Because this next event that we're going to be doing, if you guys are looking at your syllabus, your agenda, is going to be campaign and next steps. Yeah, I did call it a syllabus. We're here learning, I know.
You were just learning that.
So, and this is really important, right, guys? Because this is where we really come together to see how we want to throw down for the next year, what we want to focus on, what are our next steps collectively as a coalition, as a national coalition. And this is going to require that we all give our input, that we are all very, again, authentic in this space, very honest in this space about how we want to move forward, what we want to prioritize. And so that's going to be something that's very significant in how we work together, right? Setting good steps and good ideas forward in how we want to move. And we need you guys to be vocal. We need for you to be real with yourselves, because sometimes we will sit in silence, not expressing that what we need, and then a spirit of complaining will come in because maybe we should have did it this way, but you didn't speak up, right? So I want you to be very honest with yourselves right now, and I want you to step up. And like we said in the beginning with our norms, we want to hear from you, but then we also need you to step back so that we all can get an opportunity to be working in this. We don't want this to be a space where we feel like we are given an agenda that we did not participate in. So this is extremely important. And I want to bring up someone that I know y'all met Amber before, and she's been up here, but I want to give her another round of applause. Please give Amber some love. In fact, you need to stand up and give her a standing ovation. I want y'all to know that this is the person who is responsible for putting the teams together, for organizing, logistics, for getting us here. Her and Jacqueline and Sierra. I'm telling you right now, this woman is a powerhouse. She's amazing. I've learned so much from her since I've been in this space, and I just appreciate everything that she does. And I trust her with my pain. I trust her with helping me locally to formalize what I need to do to really, really change my community. I trust her with that. You know what I'm saying? And that's a big thing to say about someone, to say about an organization. That I am really, really, even if I'm not at a meeting and there are decisions that have been made, I trust these people that they're doing what's best for us, right? That we're all part of it, and they've heard us, they've listened, and they're implementing things. The other amazing person is Sarah. Is Sarah on yet? Will she be here? Oh, it's just going to, it's just going to be, okay. We don't feel shortchanged at all. These two are amazing, but you guys all know Sarah and how awesome she is. So right now I'm gonna bring up Amber and Jacqueline, and they're gonna take us into this next part.
Thank you, Ms. Linda, for embarrassing me. Okay, y'all, this is almost the last part. I know y'all are thinking about flights, getting on the road, things to do, get back to kids, families, houses, I understand, communities, but this part is pretty important because like we started with Nancy and really steeping us, thank you so much Nancy for that session, steeping us in what we do as a coalition when I work together. I want to give y'all opportunity to join and be a part of the work we're doing formally. If you haven't already, if you're not already, clearly a lot of you all are part of local or place-based orgs or national orgs within our coalition space. But some of you all are just for the first time entering into our space and learning about who we are and what we do. And we want to make sure that y'all have an opportunity to not only understand what we do, but also be a part of the work we're doing together. And so, yeah, I just want to recognize how we show up in the last couple of hours together and make sure that we're being present. Can folks do that for me for the next few minutes? Awesome. Okay, we covered a lot of ground. And so what we're trying to do now is think of how we're going to incorporate this. How are we going to actually, what are our next steps really, right? What are our tangible next steps, right? We're going into holidays. We're going into the new year. So I know a lot of us are going to put some of this stuff down and rest as we should be. But also, like, next year we got to, like Tierra was saying before, we got to start thinking about what our campaign and strategy, what's coming up next year, what we're going to be doing together and in our respective places. And so as a coalition, right, we have campaigns we worked on this year, and we are continuing those into the next year. So our goal is to really help y'all understand what they are, understand how y'all can be a part of that, and understand like what our next steps, tangible next steps are for those campaigns. You can keep the next thing. So I did, oh, you know what? This is for, I think we're not gonna do this. I think I'm skipping this because I feel like y'all tired of writing stuff. I don't know. Y'all might be burnt out. And the survey is, yeah, we have a survey. We want y'all to do that survey. So we're gonna skip over the jam board thing. But I do want to talk to y'all, and I'm gonna come back to the camera, Johnny. And I want y'all to think in y'all's own, everybody here, I know y'all have represent different orgs and different communities. A little bit more this way? Okay. Okay. So what I want y'all to think about, and we can do this, we're gonna do this for about 10 minutes in y'all tables and with y'all's org. If y'all aren't sitting with people in y'all's org and y'all communities, get with the folks that are actually in y'all's communities and orgs who y'all came with, so that we can talk about these things. What will you do in the next 10 hours, the next 10 days, and next 10 weeks from what you learned here today or this week? Like what are y'all tangibly thinking about doing? Y'all got a lot of tools and resources. We talked about a lot of different strategies. What are some things you all can like talk about and commit to together for the next 10 hours, 10 days, 10 weeks that y'all are gonna do in light of what we've learned here together? And how can we as a coalition support y'all? And I literally want y'all, and maybe we should use that Jamboard, go back. If y'all scan this is the Jamboard, and a Jamboard is literally just a place for us to put collective thoughts together. And y'all can walk up here if y'all need to. But this is basically something for us to be able to use. We all have access to this as the committee in our coalition. So we can say, hey, these people, these communities, these orgs have said this is what they're gonna do. This is how we can support them. So why don't we go in there, and I think it's on page 12. I don't know if we ever used Jamboard when we were here this whole time, I don't know. So I think it's on page 12, y'all, because I moved it down, I pushed it out. So if you look on page 12 of that Jamboard, there should be, yeah, it's page 12. There should be, we can use a couple of pages before and after too as well. Let me know what y'all want to do. Y'all can put it in there and do it together. What y'all gonna do the next 10 hours? And 10 hours might just be thinking about something, right? We're not getting on flights, we're gonna probably sleep, maybe rest. That's something you can do. But what are y'all gonna be doing the next 10 hours, 10 days, and 10 weeks in light of what we've learned here today in y'all's communities and in y'all's organizations? And also, who will be responsible for these? What roles are y'all gonna have within y'all's groups? And what things, what will this give us? So what roles are y'all gonna have in those? And what will that get, when y'all do these things in the next 10 days, 10 hours, and 10 weeks, what are they gonna give you? And how can we as a coalition support you? I'm gonna give y'all about 10 minutes to do that. So we're 11:40, at 11:50 we'll come back, and I'm gonna actually ask for folks, so I hope y'all are doing this. I'm gonna ask some folks to volunteers to let me know. But we're gonna put it on a Jamboard. I might pull Jamboard up too, and I really will see. Y'all did it. So we'll put some music on real quick. We'll do about 10 minutes of what you're gonna do the next 10 hours, 10 days, and 10 weeks. Who's responsible? What roles y'all gonna have? And how can we as a coalition support you tangibly? All right, go ahead.
And if you cannot access the Jamboard, write it on a notebook.
Right, yeah.
I know some folks that don't have iPhones. I think there was an issue with scanning things.
Google,
and
Google, you may not be able to get it. If you want me to post it, let me know. I can bring y'all right now too if it makes it more helpful for y'all.
Yes, so 10 minutes.
All right, Jim. About 10 minutes, guys.
It will be we will be
We just gonna make it do. Let's go. They got this computer nigga rig.
Oh yeah, everything. What that mean? You can use all that. It's like a song. I got my volume on there. I was excited about that too when I got this. When I got this one, I was excited like, oh my God.
I got
this was on sale in the sale phone. I took it and ran back to Louisiana. I hope it don't work. I'll come out there. I ain't in trouble yet. I hope it works.
He charges half price for that.
So, needed another working crew.
It was him.
Put on the Discover clothes.
Get your points, get that cash back.
Like we can't get y'all the presentation.
you are. Oh, we got black. We got black. Do I have the oh yeah, here it is. It is Jenny It's my daughter's stuff. I brought this because today is my grandma's birthday. She passed away last year, so I'm going to bring her to the room. And then I'm always in my hidden thing, so this is an autograph book by Alexander.
I'll tell you how you know how to do that?
All right, now we got about 2 more minutes. Y'all wrap up y'all discussion, y'all's Jamboards, or y'all's Post-its, or y'all's journals, whatever way y'all are writing this stuff down. We'll give y'all a couple more minutes and we'll come back. Okay, y'all, we're gonna take about two to three orgs or communities who wants to share. We got a couple up here on the jam board. Thank y'all for participating in that. Does anybody want to just shout out either what they're gonna do the next 10 hours, 10 days, or 10 weeks, or I can just read. Whatever y'all want to do. Anybody interested in sharing? Go ahead, Nancy. I'm gonna repeat it over the mic so folks on live can hear you.
So in the next 10 days, in Florida, I'm gonna connect with some of the Florida folks that were here around the race in March that we're having. We have a sheriff race in March that we just found out about. So I want to connect with the woman that was here in the next 10 days. In the next 10 weeks, I want to make sure that I connect the new fellow that we have in that county to her and make sure that we plan. We want to have a candidate forum in February. And then we have at least 8 races in 2024, one of them being the first sheriff race ever. Out of 67 counties, only 66 had sheriffs. Wow. And so for Miami-Dade, it'll be their first race ever. And anyone who has been following Florida politics knows that Miami-Dade is turning red. So we have to be very intentional about that race. Yes. And so my hope is that to be able to work in the first quarter of next year to get FOIA requests for all the areas we're going to be doing sheriff races, to have some real data of what's working, what's not working, to build out our education campaign for the year so that we can be prepared for 2024. Yeah. And then in terms of just our work at Faith in Action, we tend to have like monthly calls to really connect all the work that we're doing internally, and so we're going to revamp those calls again and make sure that we know what everyone is doing around the country within Faith in Action.
All right, let's give her a hand, y'all. Does anybody else want to share? We got way in the back. Y'all come up this way.
Good morning. So for the Bay Area, we're thinking we want to take all this information that we learned, bring it back to our folks, share about what's happening in other parts of the states. We want to get ready to revamp our budget fight for 2023, and specifically around reimagining what public safety can look like out in the Bay Area. We want to officially join. Yeah. And then it's like for 10 hours, we're just gonna drink a lot of water. But yeah.
Woo! Okay, we got one here. We got one over here. We're gonna do one more up here, and then we'll be done. We're gonna do one right there back there, and then one more up here. Okay.
Hello again, everyone. How y'all doing?
Hey.
All right, so we kind of put this together in a weird way, but we made it work out. So the next 10 hours, the first thing we're going to do is sleep.
Yes.
I'm sorry, yeah, next 10 days, we have an event coming up on the 23rd and 24th of this month. This is December, right? Yeah. We're going to bail out. So anybody with $100 less bail in the city of Dallas County, which is Luceric, we're going to try to bail them out on December 23rd. And then on the 24th, we're going to have a toy giveaway. We partnered with the Academy of Dallas, which is I know it's a charter school. It's a charter school. So that's that. So that's 10 days. So in 10 weeks, which gives us about to February, I think, if I'm mistaken, we're going to reintroduce a book reading that we did back in September. Can I see this book? Yeah, this book right here is called The Accommodation. I don't know if you've ever heard of this book, but this book was written in 1980 and was banned from being published. Wow. And it was actually republished again this year. Yeah. And they printed out 30,000 copies of this book. And this is the history of Dallas from the years 1950, I'm gonna say about to the 80s. And one thing that you never heard really about in the civil rights movement was Dallas. In Dallas, they were bombing black people's homes in South Dallas.
Wow.
In Dallas, they were moving people out, calling it slum clearance, getting money from the federal government to improve the city. That's how a lot of these cities got bigger, through slum clearance. The federal government gives them money to improve an area. Well, what's the area that we don't really want to really improve? And we let the dilapidate on its own is the Black community. So they use that and took the land away basically through eminent domain and other sources. And so we're going to bring this back and tie this into people so that you can learn history and that you can move forward, but know your opponent. If you want something and you don't want people to know about it, they always say, read the book. I stress this as much as possible. Y'all read. I don't care what kind of book it is. If it be your Bible, if it be a calendar with 31 days on it, read something, okay?
We got an online one from Tyler. Tyler says in the next 10 days, he's going to plan and conduct all activity in 10 hours. And then in 10 days, he's going to meet with groups and set goals. And in 10 weeks, his main goal is to close jails and stop building new ones. And I want to tell, what's my guy's name back there in the red shirt? Matthew? His name Matthew? What's your name, brother? You made me want to tell a story about Baton Rouge. You ever heard of the bus boycott? Okay, you know, Martha White got that thing started before Rosa went to the back of the bus. We did that first here too, man. And that history is very important about what's been going on. I want to copy that book, for real. You got to show me the way. And we need to start talking about the things that happen here, for real.
Amen. All right, thank y'all. Thank y'all for sharing. And no one said how they wanted us to support y'all, but I know that y'all are going to be a part of our community, working with us. So if there are ways and when there are ways that we can give y'all tangible support, we really do want to hear from y'all about that. And the people up here on the Jam board that shared as well, thank y'all for, I'll share one. One says, relax, finish a 2 to 3 year plan in the next 10 days, okay. And then 10 weeks, implement outreach strategy and recruit organizers. So that was from somebody up here. Whose was that? Deanna's. Thank you, Deanna. I appreciate that. We got rest and read through materials and notes. So just kind of recapping the week again. And then we got next 10 days, share back with our community, planning for 2023 work. All right, y'all, I'm gonna keep it moving. So as a part of the conjunction with y'all's local campaigns and y'all's local work, nationally as a coalition, we are working on a few different campaigns. And one of them is specifically the reason we came to East Baton Rouge is because of the deadly jail that is here. And it's one of the most deadly jails in the country. And one of the reasons that it's so deadly, and a lot of jails are so deadly, is because of the lack of medical care. And so we have a campaign around Medicaid reentry and 1115 waiver. And there's an overview here if you want to scan this QR code. And that campaign is still ongoing. We started it this year and work basically to figure out where our role is, what can we be doing to really get around this issue and help folks get medical care. I'm gonna give y'all a little overview of what the Medicaid Reentry Act is. It would give states the ability to restart Medicaid coverage for eligible incarcerated individuals up to 30 days prior to their release from jail. So if y'all don't know, folks, sorry about that. I do talk very fast. So if you all do not know, whenever folks who have Medicaid are put into jail, they after about, I think it's after, if it's more than 25 days or so, then they lose it. And this is a health risk while they're in jail. They lose that, and then when they leave, if they have medication that they need, have insurance through Medicaid, they don't have that access anymore. And so the Medicaid Reentry Act would give the states the ability to restart Medicaid coverage. So when they are released, the eligibility is, there's no lapse in the eligibility. And then the 1115 waiver, which is another piece of that, would allow states in their counties to enroll people who are jailed into Medicaid suspend their Medicaid enrollment rather than drop it from enrollment, and allow for continuation of care, which could include maintaining prescriptions rather than discontinuing, substituting, or giving a generic version. And so this is huge because it really, really could be a big lever that helps us with the death toll. So, and it can reduce harm and death and create a broader system of accountability to individuals that are not seen only as jail person, but rather now identified as a beneficiary of Medicaid that has substantial rights. So if you are interested in learning more about this campaign, we have a training coming up on December 15th. Sarah, who is one of our consultants, is heading up the campaign currently. Her email is listed here, Sarah Angelina Silva at gmail.com. Email her about it, and you all can be a part of that training December 15th. December 15th, which is next week. So if you all are interested in being part of that training or learn more, the overview is here, and you can email her about being a part of that training. I'm going to bring Jacqueline up now to talk about other campaigns that we are engaging in as a coalition.
Thank you, Amber. Hey, everyone. Again, Jacqueline Valencia. As I mentioned, I think yesterday, I think one of my roles within the coalition, not only to support and co-lead with Amber some of the campaign work that we're moving along with our monthly calls, coalition calls, embedded it, right? Like making sure that we're talking to the steering committee, making sure that the steering committee is making decisions. And as well as, I don't think we talked about this, Amber, but we had a year-long budget cohort, right? A cohort that graduated a couple months ago. And within that cohort, Tiara graduated from there, right? Woo! And I know there's a few folks who are not in this room, and maybe they're on virtually, but they also participated. And it was a year-long cohort where they wanted to get into budget fights, or they were currently in budget fights. And so that's part of the work, right? It doesn't end here today. It doesn't end or start with the campaigns that we currently have. There's currently like a model already, a pilot program that we already started. So if you're also interested, make sure that you touch base with me or Amber, because that's something that we did and that was powerful as a part of this coalition that I think we haven't mentioned because I think we're just so excited. So I wanted to make sure I got in with that. And so again, last year, I think we keep naming December, right, in Denver. We talked about the two campaigns that we did want to run as a coalition for the first time, right? We wanted to engage in something powerful. And so we had an opportunity this summer to engage the National Sheriff's Association to talk about the right-wing influence of white supremacy, right? Like white supremacist sheriffs. And so you all have this at your table, and if you don't, I can get you. I put something together just to explain why sheriffs, why the National Sheriff's Association, what we did in Kansas City, Missouri, who held it down. We have Brittany in the room, who is a powerful, amazing organizer, who's right here. And so I want to give a huge shout out to Brittany because she made sure that we anchored down and that we held a powerful action, a powerful press conference that didn't put our families and put ourselves as organizers at risk, right? Because a pregnant woman just had gotten shot, right? And that was the reality that we were facing. And so the way we decided to take action and to demand, right, that the National Sheriff's Association stop harboring white supremacists, and we called out 3 sheriffs that are white supremacists were at the January 6th insurrection. We made sure that we called them out. Amelia Herrera, who's in this room, shared her powerful testimony there that day. Amber was there. Yes, and if you read in what I got, the sheriffs, Brittany's saying it, one of the outcomes was that the Sheriff's Association, which was like 300 plus sheriffs in the convention center, they came out. And they were wondering what the hell we were doing. And they looked pissed. Like their face, like they were recording, they were taking pictures of us. And at the end of the day, when we're doing an evaluation, we talk about evaluation, right? That's what's powerful. Folks were evaluating and saying that that's for them, that was like powerful, right? Having them come out, right? Power's in the reaction, and they reacted. And even when leaders and folks got on the bus to go back to the hotel, they sent a sheriff, a de-escalation sheriff, to come to ask why. would a faith facility let us have an action like that? They were pissed. This was the first time ever that we held down some artivism. And their art made them uncomfortable. They said, well, we are curious as to why you would wish death upon anyone. And I said, what are you talking about? He said, yeah, in your posters you all had, in the art, you all had death to the NSA corporate sponsorship. And I said, that's right, corporate sponsorship. And I didn't want to say more, right? Because I didn't want to give him power. I wanted them to keep questioning, right? And to think about that. And I didn't want to give them more of our tools or what we were going to be using or what we were going to be doing. I didn't want to give them more insight. And so that was one of the outcomes, I think powerful outcomes out of that action. And the Sheriff's Association is meeting twice a year. That's the reality. As we're all organizing in the space, they are also organizing in their own spaces. And they have folks who are showcasing, right? They have medical contractors, medical facilities, like medical equipment, you name it, drones, all those companies who are supporting them gathering twice a year. And so I know that obviously you can't click the links and you'll be able to go and learn more about the Sheriff's Association and to learn more about white supremacists, but we will email this out. You have a hard copy of it, we will email it out, and within this report we have some links. Well, you'll get to go see their website. Look for their sponsors. Look for the committees, because in some of these committees, your local sheriff may be on there, and that's what we need to start questioning. And so again, there's an opportunity for us to go deeper into this, right? I know we talked about the conversation of even us talking about white supremacy within even our own space, let alone like white supremacist sheriffs, right? This is a huge campaign, and we know we're not gonna, get a win tomorrow. But I think it takes a group, and it takes a group of organizers wanting to move on this campaign. And let's be real. This year it was midterms, and out of the 8 organizers, right, and some of them did the research meetings before we even held this action. And so by the time we wanted to do even more after the action, we couldn't. Folks were so embedded and invested in getting folks out to vote. And so the campaign was at a pause. And that's also okay. Sometimes we feel like we just need to do, right? And we need to react. Sometimes we need to pause. And we did, and we said, that's okay. The sheriffs are still gonna be there, right? The association's not gonna get dismantled in 1 or 2 days, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. And so they're still there. And they're meeting in February in Washington, D.C. again. So they have their annual conference in D.C., February, and they have their summer one, which they shift around the country. And so it's happening in Michigan and Grand Rapids. That's Michigan, right? Yeah. Did I get that wrong? All right. So it's happening in Michigan in the summer. So again, there's other opportunities to have another peak moment at some point, whether what that looks like, the organizers need to shake that out. I can't just say, hey y'all, let's do this and let's do it this way. It really takes organizers saying, I want to organize on this issue. This is what I care about. I care about that white supremacist sheriff who is my sheriff or who represents me, and I'm not gonna stand by it. So again, the opportunity here is, if you want to join the organizing team around this campaign, email me, let's have a one-to-one. Maybe you just want to learn more, and that's fine. Maybe you're not gonna decide to act on this campaign, but you just want to learn more about it. So let's go ahead and talk. So I put my email up here. It's in the printed version that you have. Some of us already had some conversations about campaigns, about because I think even in the jam board that we just did, y'all named support, but in the conversations that I have been having, y'all have been asking for support in one way or another. Y'all have been asking questions about the coalition, which is great. Some of you guys have already talked about how you want to be part of the planning committee for the next convening. Great, that's amazing. And it really does take all of us. We can't start with a team of 10 and only 3 people doing the work. Like, we can't do that, y'all. I'm sorry. If we're gonna really throw down on a campaign, we gotta really, like, and if you need to step back, that's fine. But I think we need to name it and be okay with that. Because I think that's what's happening with when we start national work, that everyone is sucked into their local work, and that's amazing. We wanna support you. But if we commit to something nationally, then we need to know the bandwidth that we have. And if not, bring somebody else to the table, okay? So that's the next step on this campaign. The last thing that I'll say in brief is that for folks who were not able to join us for the 287G conversation during lunch, there's still an opportunity for you to get involved, come to the next meeting. We are going to be meeting in January, late January. There's a QR code, and I think it's been in some of the tables. If you don't have it, I'll leave it up here at this black table. If you want to come scan it and be a part of that 287G conversation retreat, that's happening in January. So I think that's the only next steps in a sense for the 287G conversation. We did drop off an amazing pamphlet that Amelia put together on 287G for those who just wanted to learn a little bit more about it. And again, we're open, me, Amelia, Shayna, who's here, for those conversations around 287G and what's possible in 2023. Because as a coalition, that's one of our demands. And if that's what y'all want to work on, let's do it. But again, the commitment. Let's talk. That's just the QR.
This is the QR code right here, y'all. If y'all, are y'all able to back there? Are y'all catching it? Is it y'all getting the link from back there? Okay, good. Okay. There's also the paper as well. But yeah, if you all want to grab it, if y'all can, I'm gonna give y'all 10 seconds.
Thanks, Brittany.
Did y'all work out?
Yeah, trying to get it. We can't make it.
That's okay. No worries. We can go to the next slide.
Wait.
Oh, go back.
And Chastity, you got my number. I can text it to you too.
We're gonna also put all of this in a follow-up email to everybody, all the registrants, so y'all will get all the information. All right, y'all. As we mentioned before, we are a coalition of people working on sheriff accountability reform, namely abolition, and reimagine a world where the sheriff is not at the center and take together into one slide deck for the whole week. So definitely want to appreciate her as well. Indiana, she right here. Yeah. She don't want to be acknowledged, I can tell. Before I do Tierra, there is somebody else I want to acknowledge, who I don't have flowers for, but I do want to acknowledge. I mean, yes, Precious, for sure. Precious is a consultant. I think I can't tell, but the girl's like family now. But I brought her in. She came in last minute, the last hour. And helped to work. And honestly, was my thoughts, my thinking partner, logistically, the girl is a beast. If y'all have things y'all need to do, she does travel. She lives in Pennsylvania, y'all. So please hire her because she's amazing. She has her own consulting firm, and she is honestly amazing. We're going to continue to use her throughout our time in our work. So, yes, please honor her.
Thank you.
I want to honor Max, because Max doesn't want it, and he never will. But Max is the reason we are all here, you guys. Yes. Max is a visionary. Yes. He is thoughtful, he's kind, he's humble, and he does this work every day with y'all in mind. And honestly, all he wants to do is he wants to give y'all what y'all need, and he wants to step back. And that's what he does every day. And I'm so honored to work with you. I did not know what I was coming into when I started last April, and I honestly say, in spite of all the things, this work is difficult, it is hard, but I am so grateful. This is the best job I've ever had. It doesn't even feel like work sometimes, y'all. And so, Max, I'm so thankful and so grateful that you picked me and that we are doing this work together. You're like one of my best friends. Tierra! Can we stand up, y'all? Do we stand up for Tierra? Stand ovation. When I asked Tierra to be the agenda coordinator, I knew that this was going to be a different year because Tierra is, y'all saw her, that girl, she's an organizer, she's a leader. That girl has the things, I'm so excited for what is to come, for how you're moving, every time I feel like I talk to her, she's grown so much. She's always trying to grow, she's always trying to learn, she's always trying to build, and she does this work with intentionality, with authenticity, with transparency. with integrity, y'all. And I'm just so honored here to have you as a part of our group, our tribe, to have you as a part of the movement space with me. And yes, I'm so thankful for you. So.
You gotta travel with her.
She get a call. She'll be all right.
Y'all do not gotta do the most like that.
We gotta do
Please
the
come
most.
get this camera. Come get this camera.
Oh, the
please.
camera, yeah. You gotta get it.
So they can see
She been running from it the whole week.
All y'all been running from. I got y'all.
Keeping me on my toes. Oh my, okay. But when I want to thank everybody in the room. First and foremost, like we built this together. Like I knew when I took this on, it was gonna be a part of my development. It was gonna be real, and it was gonna be what people needed. I've been a part of coalition. I was part of our training. I was part of our cohort, and I'm part of the steering committee. So to me, that speaks volumes. I really feel like C4SA is my family, and I do whatever that's within my capacity to do. I thank Amber for mentioning Max, because Max has been there from day one. When I was even still organizing at Faith in Texas, Max would sit with me and my colleague offline hours. I was an MC last year, and he sat with me and like kind of thought partner with me, because sometimes we need help getting things out of our brains and onto paper and into real life. That's right. And Max, I know, like really helped me feel like I could do it. And I appreciate y'all for centering me in that way, and that gave me the trust. I built that trust over time that I can invite other people into this space, and then I could be a leader in this space. Like this has been like a step by step by step, and I just welcome so many other people to do that here at C4SA. This can be your training ground. This can be your development. This can be whatever you need it to be, and I know that because they've allowed it to be that for me over the course of the last few years. So thanks everybody, and Max, I just want to shout you out. Amber as well, because Amber was a part of all those calls too. And Amber has just been there from day one, stepping, and like I have something else for Amber.
But wait a minute, y'all. Listen, can we all just give a standing ovation to Max? Because for real, he is the heartbeat of this, and y'all may not know it, but that man.
Yeah. So I'm gonna work with who I already up here, and it's more folks that are in the crowd that's gonna come up. Desiree is my teammate, my one. You know, sometimes Desiree will pop in my pocket. Like I can't really teach, I don't have the words at times, the language, but Desiree, she's always down to ride, and she learns that way. And it's also like we thought partner. Desiree leads from her own leadership, from the belly of the beast. She did 3 years in TDC, and I just remember like it was certain things I didn't understand about her experience, but she allowed me to glean. She allowed me to learn, and throughout the years we've been like this, and we challenge each other, to be honest. So Desiree, thank you for being here and supporting this mission, and just always being down the ride. Miss Linda.
Woo!
Y'all, I just gotta say Miss Linda. Y'all clap.
Our power source.
Miss Linda has been here since the beginning of C4SA, and I don't believe she'll ever leave, honestly, because this is just her baby, and she said blood, sweat, and tears, didn't I? And I looked at her, I said, you did, and she was talking about the things she's built and been a part of building, and how that, you feel that, and that mama bear energy that we all feel from Miss Linda. Like it's just inherently, she takes you in, she cares. She cares about you as an individual, and then she cares about your work, like right after. She cares about them people immediately after, but one thing I know, she sees the individual in you. And from the beginning of coordinating, I'm not gonna lie, I was just like, oh, I know what I'm good at, and I know when I am gonna be stretched. And Ms. Linda said, it's all right, baby. It's gonna be what it needs to be, and I'm here with you, and we'll kid you not, we would talk throughout this process, and any time there was like a gap, I shoot her a text, she'd call me or shoot the text right back, and we would figure it out. And I need to know who the locals were, because this ain't my backyard, and I'm like,
who is this? Who can we, I wanna really lean into the laborers on the ground. That was my mission, is I want homegrown everything if we can. And if we need to outsource, we'll do that. But like initially, that's what I wanted to look like. And Ms. Linda made all her resources available to me. She made all her people available to me. And that's not an easy thing to do when you don't have trust. But Ms. Linda, the trust is there. And here's a thank you card I wrote for you. And I just appreciate you so much. Thank you.
This is holding this up, man. That's right.
I'm no specific order. Miss Amelia. Miss
We don't went through
Amelia.
this last night.
We already actually did something similar at dinner last night. And I was tipsy when they did it. So I was like, who told y'all to do something like this? It's out of control. But here we are. And I get to redeem myself. And honestly, Miss Amelia, I think the panel is the real piece. Because when we first started, Miss Amelia told me what it was going to be. Like, sometimes you need some people that's going to tell you this has to happen. And I was like, let's shape it together. Let's see what we can do, And we both put some ideas in there on how it can look. Because at first it was like, we want a panel, but not really like a discussion. We wanted to be like free, flowing, And Amelia really like created some stuff that like really walked you into the work that they were doing. Like, it was so much though. Like, it was just so much. And I was like, we're going to have to talk about this. And you can just hear it in Amelia's voice every time she opens her mouth. She knows her shit. She knows her shit. And she knows what she's experienced. She knows what her son is experiencing. Excuse my language, but that's how I feel. Is that when you get up on somebody and know what they're talking about, you listen. You just shut up and you just listen. And you listen to how they want things to be, and y'all play off with each other. And Amelia's that mama bear as well, who's also like, I'm going to lean in, but I'm also going to step back. I'm going to lean in, but I'm going to step back when it's time. And you just let me know. And just thank you, me, for rolling with the punches, for leading, and you tell your story so vulnerably. You don't have to do that, but you do. And you also say when you don't have the answers. And I appreciate that. Like, I appreciate that. Yeah. Chastity.
Don't start with me.
Chastity already got us all started this morning. Say, I really can't go on too deep. I just really can't, because we're going to be here all day. But Chastity, that country voice, hit my mind. Some months ago, I didn't even know it was the same Chastity. But that's to show you all the places Chastity is in and connected to. That was with a different organization. And I said, we try to connect and build with formerly incarcerated. I said, I got a team of people who this could benefit. We get on the phone. And I said, is you with C4SA? And yes, this is the same person. And I said, whoa, this is wild. And honestly, that work got mixed up and all kinds of things, but it came back. It came back more recently because we each have been dealing with some post-incarceration syndrome symptoms, and that's the work that Chastity is building. It's one thing when you're campaigning from a model, when you're campaigning and building off something you've seen, a replica, but when you build it from scratch, about things that are actually going on in your own brain, your own mind, your loved one's mind, that's something totally different. Because how are you building when you're impacted right now? And that's something that I realize we say formerly incarcerated. Sometimes they think, oh, you've overcome, and that's part of it. But I'm always be formerly incarcerated. And what comes with me always being formerly incarcerated? What comes with that? Chastity is unpacking it and like really have been helping me to like sit down and break. We can break. We can break. We just gotta have spaces to break and be able to be poured back into, so we can get to taking those steps back up, those steps forward. And Chastity has just been vulnerable and like she's a boss. Like Chastity has been so vulnerable. The times that I've seen Chastity before have not. It just goes to show that like she's just the truth, and whatever it has to look like is what it will look like. This is a boss in front of y'all. Like, I just need y'all to know a boss that just like
has like opened up enough to break in front of us and also build in front of us, because that's a builder right there, and that's a boss. And you like really helped steer this out and said, this is what I'm bringing to the court, to the convening. And you just set the tone. I appreciate you.
Can I tell y'all a funny story in 2 seconds? Just listen.
Yeah.
No, really, that's for real. Because just now I just realized that the person I've been looking for that I talked to about pics on the email is her. I've been trying to find that email and it just clicked and it's you.
It's I. It is I. And I'm gonna call this one up. Chris, get up here.
No.
Yeah. Get up here. See, Chris is down playing it off. When we first jumped off the porch with coordinating, Chris was one of the first people to tap me. Chris was one of the first people to tap me and say, let's connect offline. I had built an agenda, we built it in coalition, but it needs to be refined like really bad. And like, Chris was like, oh, let's do this, and like really walked, like a deep walk, and added and revised and asked hard questions too, like, agitation from a developmental point, but also just like what's needed, right? Chris did that, like Chris got that oversight mentality, like, and he also like a brother in that way of like, I'm gonna come in. And he also just started taking stuff off the plate, like, I can do this, my people, not even just like, he was like, my people can do this. So shout out Advancement Project, because I believe this brother, before I even knew y'all, I knew y'all through Chris. So I was like, dang, this bro is like caring, it's gonna be caring. I said, I'm checking in on your capacity. He's like, I'm good, we're gonna be good. We're gonna rock, we're gonna roll. And like, just thank you for your energy. Thank you for, really just leaning in and supporting the work of C4SA in such a real way. Okay. Sorry, guys. We running out. I don't think Tamara is here, but Tamara, if you, okay. Yakni. Sis, I just gotta start with sis, because this family now, we've been family since the last time, but like Jacqueline, just be whatever you need to be. She just be whatever you need to be. As soon as Jacqueline got down here, it was just like, where do I need to be? What do I need to do? Y'all might not know, but like one of our exercises, we couldn't find some material. So we was like, well, I was figuring out. And I was like, oh, let's just do this. And then figured it out in an instant. Like, you need people that can pivot, that don't get stuck, that ain't stomping around because it ain't going the way we wanted to go. And Jacqueline just is that person. But also, like, Jacqueline leads with clarity. Jacqueline leads with her personality, just loving, right? And I just, when I'm around Jacqueline, she ain't got it from her mouth yet, and I just feel like, there go Jacqueline, I know this shit is about to get done. Like, at the end of the day, it's about to get done, it's about to get handled, and that's that.
Yep. All right.
Nancy.
Oh my goodness.
She said, oh God.
Nancy was on our planning committee as well. And y'all, you might not know it, but we all go through challenges. We all been campaigning in our local communities. It's been an election cycle. It's been all kinds of stuff. And Nancy is just a really intentional leader. Very intentional. She's not loud. She's never like loud or rowdy about things, but you listen when she speaks. And it's also this sense of building for everybody and like asking questions that you wouldn't even think to ask, but they mean everything. You like, how did I not think of that? How are we not thinking about that? And it's like, whoa, it's always just like this groundbreaking, it just always seems groundbreaking. And it can be simple, but it's groundbreaking. And I feel like Nancy, you just really are that in our steering committee, in our planning committee. You've been integral in your training the other day. Really, Jacqueline was over there like, dang, like Nancy really carrying a lot. So it really is table setting. That was table setting, but it went beyond. Like, dang, it really made everything make sense, and it let me know we were all in unison. So I appreciate you for all you do. And I'm gonna do Amber, and I don't see Precious. I need y'all to just like stand up. I wish I had flowers. Where is Precious? Precious.
She said, oh.
And Amber. Y'all, just give these women a round of applause. I'm talking, Amber is wears so many hats just within C4SA, it's ridiculous. And Precious came in and did the exact same thing. Like, Amber had to let y'all know she's a consultant, but you wouldn't think she's family. And when she came in that way. And these women have like held me up, that arm thing we naming, held me up, held me down in the process, and ultimately like wanted to create an environment, you know, because I'm agenda heavy, I'm organizing heavy, I'm grassroots. So it's like sometimes you gotta tell me, hey, look around, you know. And these were the folks that were like, T, you know, and really wanted to create a space that felt like what I was trying to build. And you need people like that. And I just want to tell y'all, I appreciate y'all. We're going to talk more offline, but I want folks to know like how important they might be behind the scenes, but they doing some very important, crucial work that without them, nothing would be possible. So damn everybody that's in front of the computer, in front of the camera, hey, but it's the people behind that camera y'all ain't even seen who carry a lot of weight. So give everybody a round of applause. And now we're about to get ready for evaluations. Yes. And closing. Yes.
All right, y'all. We are closing out. I know y'all ready to go. The last thing we want to do, we want to be able to, one thing that we value in our coalition space is feedback, because we know there are blind spots and we know that we don't see everything, good and bad, right? So we need y'all support in that. We need y'all to tell us what was good, what did we do, what did we do well, what things did we maybe miss, what things do we need to work on for next time, all of those things. And Amelia is going to help us lead us in that. I promise you it's not going to be longer than 20 minutes. And also, we're going to send it out as well as an email, but we do want to do it in person as well, just to give you an opportunity to out loud give us feedback. So go ahead, Ms. Amelia.
All right, everybody, okay. We're wrapping up. So, one of the questions that I have for you, what did you learn during this convening? I want to take 5 answers. Just raise your hand, we'll pass it around.
I learned how to canvas. I never had ever canvassed for a day in my life. Yeah, and one thing that was interesting, because I never, working jobs, door knocking, I never wanted to do that, but it was actually pretty fun, so I enjoyed it, so yeah. Cool.
All right, fill it out. Come on, fam.
Last year, oh God, I love last year in Denver, it snowed. I left with, after talking with people last year, I left with the idea of how to galvanize young people. And so I got what I needed today through the presentation. Yes, Deanna. Thank you so much for that. I'm leaving with something concrete that I can put into action very soon. And I appreciate you sharing. Thank you all for convening this year.
I learned how strong C4SA really is. We are making a change in this world, in this state, across this country. We are changing the results of some of the sheriff's elections. We're changing some of the rules inside of some of the prisons. And I'm very proud to be part of this organization because we're changing lives and we're saving lives.
So maybe two, 3 more.
We got one online.
Oh, and we got one online. Let's not forget about our online folks.
We got one online?
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate the convening overall. I brought leaders with me, and if I'm honest about it, I'm always a little leery about certain spaces that I bring my leaders in. They learned a lot, had a great time on top of that. I appreciate you all being intentional about the hospitality and taking care of folks in the room and making sure folks had a balance between the work and lifestyle.
Yeah. Tyler again, so consistent. Shout out to Tyler online, y'all. Y'all give Tyler a round of applause. He's been interacting the whole time. I gotta make sure I speak for him. He said that he learned how to poll and engage the community, and he said thank you.
All right, thank you, Tyler. Great, great. I want you to dig in right now, and I want you to tell me briefly, because we're going to do an evaluation after this. But how are we leaving this space? Think about that. How are we leaving this space?
That's a question for y'all. How are y'all leaving this space?
I'm just incredibly inspired and just like grateful for everybody in this room and all of this like energy and passion. So I'm leaving like just super inspired and fired up.
Yes. Anybody else want?
And make sure that you're getting your lunch in the back.
I feel affirmed. The story that Chastity shared earlier, it resonated with me. So I feel affirmed and just aware of the need to take breaks, like intentional breaks.
Anyone else? You had your hand raised, Ellie. He trying to act like he wasn't earlier.
Yeah, please call me out. I'm leaving here really with a feeling of being held up in solidarity, and I really feel that I have the energy that I need to kind of take a little bit of break over the holidays and then really get to work moving forward. So I just, I'm juiced.
All right. Yes. Love it. Okay. What's the power that we are going to be contesting for? Did you hear me? Yeah. What is the power that we're going to be contesting for? Yeah, come on. What are we fighting for? What are we doing? What are we doing here?
Fighting for humanity.
How are we going to go about that fight?
Raising awareness, educating our community, empowering our community.
By being with one another like here.
Yeah, uniting, coming together.
Hold on, guys, we're in the head.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think what we're doing in this space ultimately is figuring out, one, how do we get liberated, but how do we operate from a space of abundance, right? We have people in this space that have a lot of different stories and different experiences, but we know how the system uses that, right? So if you're impacted by the immigration system, society is gonna tell you, if you get free, that's going to be at the detriment. It won't tell you that it's at the detriment of someone else, right? So we have people getting free on one side, but we have cages being built 10 times over on the other side. How is it that we begin to have those conversations and build together? So one of the things that I'm really excited about in this space is being real. about what anti-Blackness looks like in the immigration space, being able to have conversations about folks' countries of origin and pathways to migration. Just like folks have a story about how they got here, Black folks here in America were part of the Great Migration. That's the largest migration of folks in this country. So we have a story of immigration too, right? A story of migration too. And so I think that this week, we set the groundwork for what it looks like to operate out of that abundance. Really building some solidarity and being able to break down these cages on both sides of the wall, because it's the same damn system.
Hello. Hi, I'm from Durham, North Carolina. So it has been a really great experience. So first, I'm undocumented. I flew from North Carolina here, but it's always thinking about leaving my parents, right? Because they're here. So I'm always taking the risk myself, you know. But I needed to be here, and because I feel safe here, because I know I'm with the right people. Because in a lot of places, you are undocumented, but you are around the establishment, even with our own people, right? So I don't like to be talking, but also I have to be my own voice, but the voice of those who can move around because documentation, right? So for a lot of people, we're illegals, but we contribute to the community, the economy, right? So, and today is powerful because I heard a lot of stories, and I just realized that we do so much, you know. As a community organizer, we do a lot of work in our places. A lot of people don't recognize the work that we do, right? But I give the respect for my community, but also it was nice to meet a lot of nice people, real community organizers, people who are in the ground all the time. So that's what it matters, and thank you for all the work that you guys do. Thank you.
First and foremost, let me address what the young man just said. Nobody in this room, I don't care if you're black or Caucasian, has documentation. That irritates the heck out of me. You're not here illegally. You're not. I said it before from day one. I've been saying it for 15 years. Last time I checked, Red Cloud, Geronimo, no Native American Indian chief issued no Europeans, no visas. You're legal just like I am, anybody else in this doggone room. It just irritates the heck out of me for anyone to even believe that and you're contributing to our society. This country they call America cannot survive without you. Period. Can't. Anybody tell you any different, they lying. Now, what I was going to say before he said that just irritates me.
Get it out, brother. Get it out, man. Get it out.
I came here to address the issue of overzealous law enforcement through financial intimidation by way of the millage tax, to put a cease to that. But I'm also very much aware that there may be some form of blowback if that measure is defeated December the 10th for those who reside here, like yourself, Miss Lady, and other Latino brothers and sisters who stay in this county. And one of the possible blowbacks from that I foresee is that he may pull back his deputies from our communities down here and put his hands in his pocket and say, see, when crime goes up in these brown and black neighborhoods, you didn't give me what I asked you for, what I've been receiving the last 10, 15 years, and that's the cost, and that's dangerous. So that's why I'm here. Thank you.
And I'm going to speak to that very specific. If that happens, you're talking about pulling back out of our neighborhoods, that's exactly what we need you to do. So that community can step in and provide the safety that we need and the resources that we need so that our brothers and sisters are not acting out of desperation and frustration, right? So I want to challenge I want to challenge people like Johnny Domino, people like Jennifer, people like myself that live in this community, that if we defeat this damn millage tax and he pulls back his deputies, that we put boots on the ground and we go in here and we let our community know now it's time to show and prove. And another thing that we don't take into consideration, that sometimes that spike in crime is manufactured just for that reason. That there are actors that go into communities, that incite certain things, that pay brothers and sisters to do out of desperation certain things so that numbers can go up. And if we don't stand in the gap and tell the truth about the Klan that is still operating, like my sister over there said before, this is a money-making operation for these people. They're not going to just give it up. And we got to tell the truth about it. Some of this crime that we're seeing is manufactured for the benefit of the paid media that feeds into the narrative that the only way we can solve our problems is by militarization and oppression. And we know that is a lie. And to the glory of God, we're going to tell the truth about that.
Never worked.
Never has worked.
The police dropping boxes of guns off. Come on now.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. The only thing that I wanted to add in terms of like how am I taking power back, right, is I think the education that our communities are lacking intentionally, that they're not supposed to think that there is something better or something different. Like we're so accustomed of like how a jail works and how the system is created. That so many people that are directly impacted that I work with back in Florida have a lot of formerly incarcerated folks. I mean, we ran one of the largest campaigns to restore the voting rights for returning citizens. So I know we're connected there. And so my hope is to really go back and take some of the tools that you all presented here and really connect with people to envision something different. Because I think that part of why we feel powerless, and we're not powerless, but we feel powerless is because no one has told us that something looks better, that could be better, right? And just hearing the testimonies here of everyone who is formerly incarcerated, how you're leading, I gotta go look for those people back in the community who are waiting for an invitation to be a part of something bigger and like create what works for them and create like, I know we carry trauma, but I had never thought about like actually working on a campaign that like helps dismantle what that looks like and create something different. And I know that we're operating and it feels like we're operating within the system, right? But right now, this is what we have and we need to like use it to the max that we can while we dismantle it completely.
Yes, Nancy.
So we're going to be passing out evaluations.
They're in their, they gotta scan the QR code.
Yeah.
So we have a QR code, I think we've been mentioning this. We have a couple QR codes. And if you go in your booklet, hopefully you didn't lose your agenda. It's like, it looks like this. And so the first one is about event landing page. The second one is travel reimbursements that are submitted, need to be submitted by when? The 15th of what? December. Okay, December. So you get your money back. Post evaluation. It's a little lengthy, so you're gonna get 10 minutes right now to do it here. We're asking that no one leaves